Hello, happy Sunday. Chris is here, and we are ready to do our thing. What's up? Are you up?
I'm not. I'm barely awake.
Okay. Well,
it was like what 4:30 when we.
should we do some Richard Simmons or something? You have your headband?
I don't think I'm capable of that right now. But
Oh,
here.
we not much going to the news. Those student protests are kind of making the headlines more and more, and I keep thinking of Evergreen, which we saw that was 2017, so 7 years ago, and now hasn't gotten, to me, it hasn't gotten less. Like Evergreen wasn't an exception or a one-off or an outlier. It seems like we're seeing more and more of Evergreen with the Palestinian stuff, and once again the same pattern. The administration is the one that doesn't know what to do and doesn't know how to step in and set boundaries and put the brakes on it and restore order, et cetera, et cetera. And my feeling from watching the Evergreen thing was the same thing. It's not the kids. They're doing what college students do. It's the adults, the staff, the administration. They are helpless, clueless. I don't know how they got to be in the positions they're in. So that's going on in the news, is what I saw. Hey, Auntie. Yeah, so far I am. And then I did that quote on Community yesterday, the Northrop Frye quote, and I have another one that I remembered that I want to share as well, kind of related. I think y'all will very much appreciate it in relation to what we're trying to do here. Let me do the Northrop Frye one real quick. The one about genuine speech is the expression of a genuine personality. I think that phrase, that term, there's a lot to unpack there. A genuine personality, because it takes pains to make itself intelligible. It assumes that the hearer is a genuine personality too, and that's an assumption I'm always making. Like, I always think people are as interested in what I'm trying to say as I am in what they're trying to say, and that there's this mutual exchange, like interest in a exchange. In other words, wherever it is spoken, it creates a community. So that's the Northrop Frye quote. And then I have one from an Italian writer named Italo Calvino, and it's from his book Invisible Cities. And I'll read this one. The inferno of the living is not something that will be. If there is one, it is what is already here. The inferno where we live every day, that we form by being together. There are two ways to escape suffering it. The first is easy for many. Accept the inferno and become such a part of it that you can no longer see it. The second is risky and demands constant vigilance and apprehension. Seek and learn to recognize who and what in the midst of inferno are not inferno. Then make them endure. Give them space. So that's another quote that I keep with me, like community building. If I had like a little office of community building, I would have those two quotes on posters or in the lobby or something when people walk in. And Auntie, that's actually probably more healthy than what I do, is rarely assuming that people care. Actually, I do that for the stream. I rarely assume. I did this for years, rarely assuming that anybody out there cared or was listening. And it was actually healthy. It helped me to do it and not care, because there really was nobody listening. I'm going to put that quote, and I think it's going to break it up, but hopefully you get all of it if you want it, or at least enough to Google it. There you go. All right. Well, that's all I have. And it's open panel. So, as usual, feel free to come up. Did you get any sleep last night?
Barely. That's what I mean. I didn't wake up that slow, but I don't know. minutes ago because
Well,
we wrapped the stream last night at almost 5. So
yeah, and I woke up like at 7 or 8. I hardly slept at all, and I woke up very refreshed.
good.
Did you do you want to take the day off and get some rest? I know you were going to work on your car too.
I have to wait. I have to wait till I can figure out how to get this part so I can finish it. I got to figure that it's raining, so I can't go walk anywhere to go get it.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever you want to do. On my screen, the quote is second part. Yeah, well, mine gave it in order, but yeah, I guess it could split it up depending on your setup. Alrighty. Well, what? Oh, I guess I can pull up the topic list. Let's see. We were on. Oh, we were doing restaurants. Oh, here's one for technology. Maybe that one's interesting. Let's see what that one's about. Travel, no, I can leave that one out. What is your favorite piece of technology that you own?
Oh wow.
That's a hard one for me. Shit, because it's all kind of tied together. Like my laptop has all the websites that I use, and the music plays through the laptop, and it's connected to the monitor, which shows the TV shows. So if I had to pick one core piece, I'd almost have to say the laptop.
Yeah. Yeah, my computer, I guess, would be what I would say.
I hardly use my phone at all. My favorite piece of technology that not that I own, but out there in the public domain is Google Maps and Google Earth. I really like StreamYard. That technology kind of revolutionized my experience as well. What piece of technology is really frustrating to use? All of it to me. Some of the newer platforms for me really is the touch typing on the phone. I find that incredible. That's what discouraged me from using my phone mostly. And when I try to talk type, it doesn't always get my accent or my speech pattern. So
I got good at the swiping thing. That's how I use it.
The swiping.
Yeah, almost all phones. You have the option to swipe.
Oh, like you just trace the letters.
Yeah,
I'll have to
that's
try
actually.
that.
Yeah, no, that's way easier. I can't because if I try to type out words, I get them wrong. But like a lot of times, like it won't always get the words you're going for. But then like you'll have the little list at the top that you can just choose the word that's supposed to be and correct real fast. And I can text like that. I don't text a lot, so it's not a big deal.
I will try to have to remember that. Have to try to remember that.
It's pretty much standard on all phones these days. I think if you
Yeah, I'm sure I have it. I just don't use it.
Yeah.
That is my biggest frustration of technology. And then when it doesn't work, like all these little snags that you have to troubleshoot, which takes hours. When you're trying to like, especially the learning curve for learning a new piece of technology, I could spend hours and hours down very frustrating rabbit holes. But then once I learn it, I'm fine until it breaks. What was the best invention of the last 50 years? Let's see. That's after my lifetime. I'm just going to answer it from like my own personal life, not necessarily. I've got to say, AOL, the computer, like that is what expanded my life more than any other piece of technology. And I don't know what my life would be like without it, because everybody in my life after that came through the computer. That's where I started meeting people. My whole social life was made of people from that technology. So I'd almost have to say that one. Oh, here's one for machine. Does technology simplify life or make it more complicated? I think both, because I don't think it's one or the other.
It's definitely not one or the other.
It definitely both simplifies and complicates things. It's just in different ways. It simplifies so many things that simplifies the gathering of information. It simplifies it simplifies to some degree human communication, but it also adds some of the
Oh,
complexity.
look at here.
Speak of the devil and he shall appear.
This is your question, machine.
Yeah, you rang.
Welcome.
You know. Here, hold on. Let me turn my TV off.
Okay. I was talking to a college kid the other day, and like they register online now. They just book their slot. And I was thinking how we had to go stand in line for hours and hours. You got there in the morning, and there was these huge long lines, and you had these newspapers with tiny print that would show your classes, and you had to hope that you got there in time to get the section you wanted. It was so complicated, and how simplified all that is now. They could just sit in their bedroom on a keyboard and do all their college classes in like minutes, in a process that used to take us days and days. Like, because sometimes you'd have to go 2 days. Like, you didn't always do it all the first day, and it was laborious and it was torturous. And so how technology just streamlined all that, and I don't think anybody would want to go back to the stand in line version.
Well, it's all about what is done on the other end. Like, sure, there's no line, but there's a slew of processes that have been set into motion, right? And those don't come just at like just free, right? They're not really free. They take up space, they take up time. Like, for example, like the data centers, that actually hold the data for the internet, they take up more power than entire cities.
Oh yeah, and like crypto mining too, I know is a
Yeah.
big issue.
Yeah, it's an exorbitant expenditure of energy behind it, right? It's not just so that's the thing, is that there is a sense in which nature is simplicity, because what because how more simple can it be, right? You just get nature just makes life, right? And that life doesn't especially have to make anything in order to survive, right? A lot of the life that's out there, it just kind of just lives off of nature, right? So in a way, that's almost complete, like, 0 point, like, energy, like, efficiency, right? Like, nature is an intelligent system that just keeps going, right? And it doesn't need anything. So there's this whole thing of, like, frugality, right? And like Skolimowski has this thing where he says frugality is grace without waste. You know what I mean, right?
Without waste.
Grace without waste. And then you have on the other end efficiency, right? And the ideal of efficiency, right, I think it's inherently circular, right? Because, like, you make something more efficient, and the goal is more efficiency. Efficiency is essentially its own goal.
Yeah, but I think the goal is to reach like a point of maximum efficiency, where
Right.
it just maintains that equilibrium from that point.
Right, but like maximum efficiency towards what end, right?
Well, I think it's an ideal. I don't think it's ever actually reached.
Of course, and that's what I mean. Like, the ideal of efficiency is literally itself. Like, so it's like a circular process that is never quite fulfilled, right? And the same thing you could be said with almost with progress, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's ever ultimate progress. That's why
Right,
I'm not a utopian. I don't believe we're going to reach this ultimate endpoint where everything gets perfected.
right. So you think so you naturally believe that there's a built-in limit to how much we can, maximize our use of technology in order to gain happiness. Then.
There was a guy on PF Jung last weekend that he had something really intelligent to say about this. And he said that every time humans think that they've reached a limit of what they're able to do or supposed to do, or what's normal, that they can't imagine anything beyond that, humans always find a way to transcend it. And then there becomes some new limit. And so we're always surprising ourselves at where we think our limits are versus where they actually are when we push them. And so it's a combination of like recognizing what you're talking about, but also recognizing that in the past, humans have found ways to go beyond that kind of stuff.
Right. They've gone way beyond in terms of technological progress and way behind in terms of moral acuity. So that is an apparent issue, because it's like we have power that we don't trust anybody to wield. We have to invent systems in order to control the power that we have created.
Okay,
Like
that is
in order to create like checks so that nobody like actually obtains the full power. Because
yeah,
if somebody had, like, for example, nuclear weapons, that would be a dire situation. If one man controlled that situation, it would
yeah,
be a dire. It would be very dire for a lot of people, because a man's whims are subject to God knows what. Right? It's subject to anything and everything, really. A one man. I mean, nobody I've met doesn't have the ability to be manipulated, right?
right.
So
No,
in order,
that's go
right?
ahead. You make some excellent point. I agree with all of this so far.
Well,
These are certainly things to think about, and this is the conversations to have, I believe.
right, and that's the thing, is like like, to me, simplicity is about like how much I can manage in my own affairs, right? And then in that sense, like, if my affairs are managed by the nuclear power plant 100 miles away, right, which they inevitably are, right, because if nobody is there to control the fission reactor and there's not water being poured over that thing, it will create a hole in the fucking ground. right. So that hole in the ground, like, the core, at least in Fukushima, it melted through the ground and they can't find out where it went, so.
Yeah, I just like I always trust that the people at these cutting edges of technology are thinking about this, and like I have friends that I know that are tech like ethicists, and they write articles on AI and the things we need to be worried about and
Well,
look
did
out
you
for. So I
know?
know there are people that try to identify
Well,
these
well,
potential downsides.
well, did you know that the guy, one of the main researchers of AI, is Marvin Minsky, right? And
I don't.
he's very, very famous. He's an MIT researcher. He's one of the first to develop this stuff, right? He's mentioned in the book, the MIT lab by Stuart Brand. If you look him up, there's dozens of quotes. Marvin Minsky. He's a very, very influential AI scientist, like one of the top researchers in the field. And basically, this guy Marvin Minsky, he even said, and so did Ben Goetzel. He said that the AI may be successor, a successor intelligence or something like that. So he said that the AI might become our evolutionary successor.
I don't even know what that means.
Well, he said that it'll become more evolved than humans. They say it's a
Like
possibility that AI.
monkeys are to us.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just weird that a machine would
Well,
evolve
the
in the
the
way organic beings do.
well, Ben Goetzel, he works at, I believe he works at OpenAI, and then
He's
Marvin Minsky, he works at MIT Labs. Those are the two top researchers of AI, and they both said that this might become a successor intelligence. So, in other words, they believe that they, in their estimations, believe that AI may surpass humanity in terms of intelligence, and then put human beings on a lesser evolutionary stage, and they're still trying to improve it.
that sounds sci-fi to me. Well, just because they believe it, that don't mean I have to believe it. It sounds very
Of course
science
not. Of
fiction
course
to
not.
me.
Of course not. But your original statement was that you trust that the people who are developing these things have our best interest in mind.
Right, but not those two people. I mean, I trust that those are not the only two people doing this, and
Those
there
are
are
some of the
plenty of
top.
other
Well,
people out there that we can rely on. Is what I meant.
maybe, but those are some of the top two researchers, like, in the field. And that's their opinion. I mean, I'm gonna go with their opinion instead of like my own wild
I'm not.
guess.
I'm not.
Well, you just said we should trust the
I
experts.
don't have enough information to have an opinion. I don't think anybody
Right.
does. Even the people I
No.
know in the field are guessing.
Oh, well, that's a problem, isn't it, Jeff? Why should they be guessing about something they're making?
But
They should improve
guessing has
humanity.
always been part of scientific inquiry. Like I'm okay with guessing and not knowing.
Right. And many times they've guessed wrong.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it doesn't have to improve humanity.
That's certainly a possibility. I'm just
Right.
more optimistic based on my predictive model that I've built.
Of course. I mean, yeah. I mean,
I could be right. There's no guarantee. I could be wrong. We could be headed for disaster.
Right. But the reality of the situation is that the more serious the situation becomes, in which, like, for example, like, you can't manage your own affairs. You need Homer Simpson sitting next to the big red button at the nuclear power plant to manage your affairs for you, right? So
love it if somebody managed my affairs for me.
But you just said but you said you enjoy being in control of your own decisions as well. So that's a paradox.
Well, like the stuff that I don't like paying taxes. I was thinking about that this year. Why do we have to file tax forms? Why can't the government just they have all the data on us. They know how much we make.
It's because of
automate that to where we don't have to do it. They can just take out the amount each year automatically.
It's because you would have to hire people to program the automated systems. You just create more complexity. It's not like you automate the systems and that's a fix. Like, you don't need people are going to automate the system
once, right? They'd only have to create the software for it once.
No, you would have to be constantly having people oversee it and manage it.
Well, like a small team, but the initial investment.
A small team of experts that require capabilities that are far beyond the present systems we have in place. That's going to be hard to get that team.
But I think our present systems are on the way to expanding very rapidly with AI and quantum computing on the horizon.
Well,
so the limitations we have now with our systems, I don't think we're going to have for much longer.
Maybe that's just wishful thinking.
Well, that's just the trajectory I've seen technology take in general.
No, the trajectory is innovation is a mixed bag. Okay, right. That's the true trajectory, right? You invent something, you don't know what's going to come out the other end. That's exactly, and not only that, you give everybody else the power to invent it too.
Yeah, I think that's all a good thing.
Well, history has proven otherwise, right?
Well, no, I've seen great things come out of technology, like the people's ability to innovate off of existing technology.
Yeah, MAD, mutually assured destruction.
What you're looking at, like
we are in a stage of mutually assured destruction.
I don't believe that.
Well,
there's no way to falsify that unless we get nuclear destroyed. So
there's political experts that would disagree with you.
That's fine. I don't have to take people's opinion just because they style themselves.
Of course.
That's not how my epistemology works at all.
Right. You're welcome to have your opinion, but if it's not based in any facts about what's going on.
And I feel the same way about like these people and everybody else.
Right. You're welcome to have your opinion. But like, what points do you have about your opinion that serve in one direction?
I don't. I said I'm okay with guessing and not knowing things. I don't have to have a solid, well thought out position on every single thing. If I don't know about the topic, I'm okay not knowing until we have more information.
That's where we're pretty much the same. But yeah. I mean, I don't know where this thing's headed, but but that to me is 50-50. That's not 70-30. You put positive on the 70.
I wonder how much of it comes down to individual temperament, because I'm just not a worrier in general. Even when there are actual crises, I tend to not worry too much and be optimistic and try to stay relaxed, etc. So
I mean, I could believe you, but I couldn't possibly assess your personal your psychological state day to day. I'd have to compare you to somebody more anxious or less anxious. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think the level of anxiety or worry we feel about what's coming might also be personal factors involved that tilt us one way or the other.
Maybe, but I think there's a concerted understanding that there's an existential crisis. Like, most of the people I talk to, they believe there's a problem. Like they're
a lot of the younger,
they're afraid of they're afraid of the advancements of science and technology. They're afraid of genetic implementations. They're afraid of biochips. They're afraid of radiation. They're afraid of all that. They're at least skeptical about a lot of these things. So I've talked to hundreds of people that are extremely skeptical.
I don't think that some healthy skepticism is misplaced. Like I
Of
think it's
course, of course
good
not.
to have a healthy amount of skepticism, not
That's how we've
paranoia.
saved our ass this whole time, right? We've like questioned these things. Like, you know, Rousseau's came out and questioned the Enlightenment, and they put the
Yeah.
brakes on that whole thing, and it helped us. You know, right? You know, that's exactly what it is. You know, that
Yeah.
Thoreau came and put the brakes on the whole thing, and he said, no, I'm going to go into the cabin, and you know, and you know, it was useful. You know, they had that thing. You know, where they had nature as an ideal in the Romantic era. You know, and
Yeah.
it's like, you know, we're like that is the pendulum has to swing the other way. Is all I'm saying. And right now we're in a age of technological advancement. The pendulum is swinging. You can see the youth going into Gaia and, you know, psychedelics and, you know, nature stuff and you know, you
Is it
see
a
that
pendulum or is it just a
it's the
dialectic? Because
pendulum.
even back in ancient Greece, you had this tension of kind of the irrational religious elements and then rationality emerging kind of as a counter to that. And then those two things have always been kind of in tension throughout the human culture since then. And this is just our version of it. We're always going to have the technocratic as technology advances, and we're always going to have like the human, the need for something that's not the machine part of us. And I think
Well,
they just have different proportions at any given time or context that you're looking at.
well, it's theorized that we had a different stage of technological advancement before this. Oh, peace. What's going on in traditional culture? What's going on, friend?
How's
Hey,
it going?
Hey,
what's up? We're talking technology and
hey,
culture.
good to see you, friend.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite subjects. It's good to see you as well.
Yeah, you summoned us both here.
And Chris, feel free to jump in too.
Well,
I know
I'm just
you
listening.
probably know more about technology than even I do, so I'd be interested to hear your take.
I mean, I'm definitely I'm a lot more. I feel like technology to me, it's a even if it is a even as a negative, it's the genie's been out is out of the bottle. It can't be put back in. The best thing we can do is get as good as we can with it and use it to the best purposes we can. I don't see any way of going back.
Well, that's funny. Then you partly disagree with Jeff because we don't control the process, right? Or Jeff kind of admitted that to a
I
certain
think
degree
we
too.
do guide and direct it partially to an extent.
Oops.
I mean, even if the U.S. stopped all of its AI research and
We
all
see
the
the
technology stuff that people are
Jeff,
scared of.
Jeff, you cut out there.
oh
Yeah.
oh yeah, my signal's low. What were we talking about? I said I think we can like guide or influence the process somewhat. There's plenty of situations where we reevaluate and course correct or learn from a result and then do something different the next time. So I don't think we're completely at the mercy of a random process. I think we have some agency within it.
Well, what do you think about that, Chris? You were saying something there.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I mean, but does it even matter even if we stop? I was saying if even if we stop all of our AI research, we back down all this stuff and start trying to then we have China, we have other India, we have all the other countries that they're going to keep going with these things. They're going to and then they'll use the technology to outcompete and bring our downfall anyway. So the best thing we can hope to do is to try to forge through and try to find ways to make technology work in our favor and try to take as much control of it as get as much control of the people as possible, democratize it as much as possible, so that it's not just in the hands of the oligarchs and such, and try to do the best we can to do the best we can with what we have. I just don't see another way.
That robot switch. I'm not. I, I'm not worried about Elon. I'm more worried about how he's going to fuck up Twitter more than he has than anything else.
Well, it's a question as Elon's he's a nephew of somebody. I think his uncle or his grandfather or something like that, James Hilderman. You know, he tried to overthrow the government of Canada, I think, and install a team of scientists to run the government. You know, so this was their plan called the Technocracy Party. Now it's everybody's question whether that should be done. And there's many intelligent people around the world, like Noam Chomsky and other people, anarcho-syndicalists and transhumanists that have proposed this as a ultimate. Well, the ultimate thing is that if you have AI and it becomes a super weapon as powerful as nuclear weapons, well, you will have to have a team of scientists run the government.
Or at least like consult or have a department or something.
Yeah, but that's
they probably would already have as they
don't have it. They don't have it. It's lawyers and like politicians who
well,
run the
you're right. They're going to need it at some point. Like if the government starts trying to integrate AI, they're going to need some people that know what they're doing.
They're going to need a regulatory agency. Now, that is an agent of complexity, not simplicity, right? You added a regulatory agency.
But I want those. I think we need a certain amount of regulation for society to scale.
You think that the growth of government is a good thing?
It depends on the scale and the situation.
At
the national, or the federal level, or even the state level.
That's a very liberal view. That's not conservative at all.
I'm a classical liberal.
Yeah, but that's a woke, that's a new age liberal view. That's not a classical liberal view. Classical liberals want to reduce the size of government.
It's not a bizarre position from any of the
classical liberals want limited government. Every one of them I've heard of. They don't want to expand the power.
Well, I think you twisted my words a little bit. I didn't say I didn't want limited government. I said it depends on the scale. And for our scale, we need a certain amount of regulation. Now, the debate can be about what extent.
Adding a regulatory agency
legitimate conversation to have.
Well, adding a regulatory agency, if you want more limited government, I think everybody would agree, be going in the wrong direction, especially one as powerful as
I'm not that black and white about it. I mean, I can see room for both. I can see limiting government where it can be limited and increasing regulation, especially when we're adding new things. I don't want unregulated new.
That's a tough cookie.
Like extensions of the government.
Help me out, trad culture.
Yeah.
I would say that the problem is that, it's the Lord Acton thesis, right? That like the way that human nature operates with hierarchies and things like that, that what will end up happening is that as technology advances, it will be used more and more by powerful, corrupt people to become more powerful and more corrupt. And this is
you just don't trust people in power, and I don't have the same distrust.
Well, no, I would say that I think that you're going to, like, unless you have a view of human nature that somehow, the temptation for evil when one has the power to do evil doesn't exist.
I think most people are going to more or less do the right thing. That's what I've observed most of my life. Our institutions have more or less worked.
Well, I'm noticing kind of a weak point in your philosophy, which is that you enjoy personal liberties, but you don't have a problem with power.
No, I mean, how do you have a society without power?
Especially
how do you have an individual without power? My whole work is trying to help people find a sense of their own empowerment.
Well, I mean, it's a very, like, I guess, neoliberal attitude, right? Because, like, this is what the neoliberal idea back in the 1990s was it was like the illusion of limited government, the illusion of personal liberty, but the reality of authoritarianism, because it's very like, so like, would you say that what we have right now is a society where human beings have a great deal of personal liberty? Because I would say, I think that our society is extremely.
Let's talk about paying taxes, because that's a lot of times that's what this conversation ends up coming down to. I don't feel like paying taxes makes me have less liberty.
What about the idea of being under constant surveillance, being censored, being shadow banned?
I want more people to survey. I want more viewers on this stream. I wish more people would survey me. It doesn't.
I don't mean that type of surveillance. I mean, like, the fact that, like, that you have big corporations tracking every single move you make online.
No, that does not bother me at all.
When I first started the
internet, I just assumed all that stuff was going to happen.
Let me put it this way, Jeff. Would you enjoy more people looking at you that you don't know who they are, or less people?
It doesn't bother me one way or the other.
You don't care. Okay, my opinion for my practical safety and that of my family and friends would be I would want less people who I don't know watching me.
Yeah, I don't have.
I think that's perfectly logical.
For you, yeah, I don't have
No,
the
no, no,
same
no, no, no,
like
no, no. For
safety.
everyone,
Not everyone's gonna
if you
have the
don't, no, no,
same
no, no,
level
no,
of
no, no,
risk
no,
or
Jeff, no,
safety
Jeff,
needs.
Jeff. If you don't know somebody, they could be a danger. That's logical.
Yeah, that's
That- that- that-
absolutely
that's
true.
not
And
just for me.
everybody
That's
manages their
not just
own
for me. That's for everybody.
safety risk. It's not
That's
something
for
you can be
everybody.
absolutist or dogmatic about.
Right, but
It
that's for
varies with
everybody,
each
Jeff.
person.
But
Well, I've always said that if I had somebody actually surveilling and looking at my life, I feel very bad for them because I live a
Yeah,
very
me
boring life.
me too. That's
well, I would
I've
want to
always
know.
thought that if my life is
If there's an
necessary for
FBI
life,
agent watching me, then that is one near suicidal motherfucker right there.
Well, I think that the illusion that you're having, or the problem that you're having, is that you believe it's their problem that they're watching you, when it's
I
clearly
don't
your fucking problem.
believe. I don't even think about it. So I
But
don't
all right,
have
okay.
any beliefs about it. It doesn't bother me that people are collecting data or that the government might be surveying things. It doesn't bother me at all. I've told this story before of growing up, and you could listen in on the neighbors' conversations on the cordless phone through the right radio frequency. So, like growing up, I knew that even our phone conversations weren't private if people knew how to tap into them. So it never bothered me that people had the potential to eavesdrop on my life. I never thought my life was like if they find something interesting about it, then have that. I don't think I'm that interesting. So
It
if that's
doesn't
what they want to
matter.
waste their
It
time
doesn't
doing,
matter if somebody collects information on you. They have the more of an ability to manipulate you without
well,
you.
how have they manipulated? They haven't. So, are you talking about advertising, like trying to sell me personalized ads? I don't even pay attention to those.
That's possibly the most mainstream level of it. Yes, but there's
Yeah, I
also
don't even
signs.
see ads. My eyes go right. I don't even look at ads. I don't. They're wasting their time.
Yeah, but they affect millions of people. Whether they affect you or not, that's not.
Well, I'm the person I have to worry about the most. So all of my opinions and positions are based on how it works in my life. How
No,
it
they're
applies.
not.
Yeah, they are.
No, they're not. You
Well,
admitted
I'm
that.
glad that
You
you
admitted that
have
that's
the
not true.
expertise and authority to tell me what my own opinions are based on.
No. If we rewind the recording, you said yourself that you don't control factors in your own life. You admitted that, and you said
What
you're
does
okay with that. Not
What
only
does
that,
that
you said
have
you're
to
okay
do
with
with
that.
the source of my positions? Like my epistemology being grounded in my own experience.
You said that the only person you care about affecting your life is yourself, right?
No, I didn't word it that way. I said I'm the person that out of all the people you're talking about, you said, oh, it affects millions of people. It might not affect me. I said, well, I'm the person whose experience I have to worry about the most because that's the one I have direct access to. So if it's not affecting me, that's significant to me in my world. It doesn't matter how all these other million people are being affected. I don't
Yeah,
have access to that
but
experience. I only
but
have
you
access to
admitted
the one that's not being affected, which is mine.
but you admitted that there's systems of power that do affect you, and you let them take control of your life for the betterment of your
But
life.
I don't know why you keep twisting my words this morning. Like your paraphrases are not matching what I've been saying, and people can watch the stream and verify that. So I don't know what's going on here.
Maybe not. I mean, if I have to infer into what you're saying, I'm gonna go ahead
Well,
and
let's just reset and try a different angle, or let TCPS or Chris jump in.
yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, if I could basically outline my position, I would say that the way I look at it is that I'm not looking and seeing like a healthy functioning system that is giving me any reason to trust it. I'm looking and I'm seeing everything imaginable right now is giving me every reason to distrust this system. The fact that, especially because I mean, this is actually something that's I have personal experience with, being shadow banned now, being suppressed online. And this is something which you could say, well, this isn't really a big deal because like this has nothing to do with the government, but these corporations pretty much have bought out the government. So, I mean, these monopolies like YouTube, like Google, that are out there collecting data on every single one of us to use against us, they're also buying out all these politicians. And it's a really, blackpilling situation.
You're
It's not a
muted, Jeff.
situation that we should be at all happy with. We should be extremely concerned about it.
I don't know that these politicians are bought. That's just something you're saying. So if that's something you believe, then yes, I can see why you would be distrustful. But that's not something I buy into yet, so it doesn't lead me to the same view.
Right, but no amount of somebody trying to prove it to you would actually make you believe it, because the ultimate proof is your own beliefs.
My own experience.
Exactly. So it doesn't matter to have the discussion in the first place. Like, you shouldn't be talking about
Yeah, I
ideas.
said we
because,
can move on or pick another.
of course we can. Right.
I was commenting on TCPS
your opinions are your
position that
opinions.
he
I mean, I'm
just
not gonna.
shared.
Right. I mean, I'm not gonna try to influence your opinions. I mean, I mean, if they're
Well,
your
I mean,
beliefs and opinions, I mean,
You
I
can
mean,
try. I mean, hopefully you're
no,
wise enough by now to know.
no. I wouldn't try to do something like that. I would only speak about facts that I know about, and then talk to other people about ideas that match up with those facts. Yeah.
Well, I was responding to TCPS, but again, I'm happy to move on to something else.
Right. Oh yeah, I could. Yeah, I mean, we talk about all things. Yeah. I could talk about anything. It is what it is. But I was brought up here to talk about technology. But yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, that was well, I was going through these questions, and that's the one that came up. But another one is, what emerging technology are you most excited about? Is there any technology that you do see positive potential in?
Oh yeah, like mushrooms and weed. Like, yeah,
Oh,
like,
man-made
okay.
stuff. I mean, you can make the argument that the strains of weed are cultivated, but
They are cultivated. Yeah, they're hybridizing new strains. Man has created excellent strains of cannabis. Yes, and excellent strains of mushrooms by crossing strains together.
so okay, that's one example, I guess.
Yeah,
Are there
horticulture, I guess you could say. Horticulture in certain types of plants that were not popular before, and they've become mainstream now. So there's a horticultural expansion into those, and I find that promising.
Okay, what's some of the
because
plants?
they have medicinal properties, like neem oil has medicinal properties that were just recently discovered. Cannabis oil has medicinal properties. Cannabinoids, these things are recently discovered things. So
well, recently discovered by the West. I suspect that people
exactly
in
right.
parts of the world have known about them for quite a
That's
while.
right. That's right, and that's another trap of technology, isn't it? That it's gotten rid of hundreds of indigenous plants and medicines.
Yeah, but that's the issue, right? Because like for a while, up until extremely recently, we were told by the allopathic big pharma establishment that like, oh, that stuff's all snake oil, none of it works. You should only take our pills, and you shouldn't listen to what these indigenous people do because they're all savages.
Yeah, we've eliminated hundreds of species that we could have otherwise studied, and they
Yeah,
could have
I think we should not have done that. If I was there, I would tell them to leave those plants alone and not do that.
Of course, a great loss of technological advancement, a great loss. Yes.
Yeah.
It's not all on the positive side.
I hope that we're better now. Like now, we do it more carefully, but I don't know that we do. And if we don't, I would advocate that we do.
It's wishful.
So there's more people out there that are trying now than there used to be, but at the same time, they're coming up against another authoritarian institution which has bought out our government, which is the for-profit corrupt healthcare system, the allopathic system that we've seen over the last few years just how incredibly vicious they can be, stomping out anybody who tries to cross them. So I'm not necessarily hopeful about the future with that either.
Chris, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, me and Jeff talked our ass off here.
I mean, like I said, like I'm a techno optimist. I don't feel like there's any advantage of being otherwise, because like being a pessimist about it just kind of like sets you up for like getting controlled by it. Where at least if you look at it from an optimistic perspective, you can try to be proactive in trying to learn to adapt and use the technology in our favor, because like I said, there's no going back. So no matter how much there might be advantages in this idea of like trying to go back to nature or something like that, it's not going to happen. So
I think people should go back to whatever level of technology they're comfortable with. If they want to live on the land with a well and an outhouse, I think they should do that. If they want the modern conveniences, I think they should do that too. Like I think each individual should determine their level of comfort.
I mean, I look at things like music production and making music these days, or like the abilities we have to create art and everything that are available to all of us now. that not that long ago were really, I mean, like to be able to record an album or something like that, the quality we can in our house is, better quality than they could even in the 60s and like the studios and stuff like that. Like we have amazing technology that gives us access to so much possibility that we didn't have, but it's up to us to take control of that and use it and make sure and fight back against the people that will use it for
And
evil.
I think we do, like we are more or less, we can be trusted to do that historically.
Well, there's a total loss of skills in terms of music. People have like lost like ability to play musical instruments. There's musical instruments that are just gone now, like that nobody even knows it. Like people are rediscovering like musical instruments and shit. So we've possibly lost music through technological expansion. Music that we'll never hear again. And also it's just like the plants. And then on the other end, I don't understand how less knowledge of something would make you more in control of it.
I don't either. Like I think
I don't
more
either.
knowledge is always
Well,
good.
that's kind of what Chris said, right? He said,
No, I didn't say less knowledge. I was saying I think we need to learn it better. We need to adapt and learn the technology better and use it better than the people that we use
Well,
it.
isn't adapting to technology though allowing it to
accepting it.
control you? It's like
Yeah,
you're
it's accepting it,
changing
exactly.
yourself.
No, that's the same thing about your physical environment.
There you
could say,
go.
is that
That's
being
right. Trad
controlling you?
made a good point there. That was a good ass point.
Now I
don't know how
say
it's
that
different from any
that
other
makes
environment you have
sense
to
at all.
adapt to. Social, physical, technological.
Just
We
because
have these
you
different
adapt to
types of
using something.
environments that we as organisms have to adapt to. I don't know how technology is any different, other than
That's like saying,
evolving.
like if you learn to drive, so you're saying if I learn to drive a car, like your car controls me now?
Well, I live in the South, and in the
this
South,
stream
people are
controls
controlled by
us,
their cars.
obviously.
Like in down here, the result of everybody driving cars has been that their lives are completely dominated by the need to have a car, and their lives become incredibly difficult if they don't. So yeah, I would say that your car does control you.
It is true to like a lot of people have pointed that out. Chris.
I don't call that control.
Well. Say you figured out like all the components of a car, how it works, right? You were skeptical about using it, and then finally one day you used it. Like how would you be less in control of the situation that way?
I would be more in control of my ability to get where I need to go. It gives me more power.
But what I just said, right? Allowing yourself to be skeptical to the point of gaining the most amount of knowledge and then using the thing. How is that bad?
It's not.
I never said it was bad.
Well, then how is technological skepticism a bad thing?
I never said it. I said I think it's good that we have skeptics.
Yeah, I never said I wasn't skeptical either. I said I was an
Well, I agree. I agree with you then. I agree. Yeah, we need more technological. We need more technological skeptics. Yes.
Yes,
I'm
all
all
for skepticism about everything.
As long as it's like realistic. I don't think we need more doomerism and pessimism, but we need some healthy, grounded, realistic skepticism. I would never fight against that.
Skepticism and intellectual curiosity are primary importances in humans for human survival. I was just saying, but I'm just not a pessimist about it. I don't see it as all potentially negative. I see a lot of ways that it could go in a negative direction. I see lots of ways that just about any technology could take us in a negative direction. But I also see that that's the reason why, like I said, I want to learn about these things. When I say adapt to them, I mean learn about the technology. I mean get better at it than the other people that might use it against us, and therefore then therefore the technology ultimately will be, even if we're not inventing it, we're the people who can use it for good will more or less control it. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes
that's wishful thinking.
I don't think it
Maybe
is.
it's wishful thinking, but what's the point in doomerism? What's the point in just being pessimistic about it? We can't stop it.
Listen, I think this is all psychology.
Nobody said to be a pessimist. I agreed that skepticism is a good thing, and so did you guys.
Yeah, I do. I know, but you said that like what I said was wishful thinking, but like, what's the other form of thinking?
Yeah, because what you said is we should just let it go because we can't control it.
No, I'm not saying we should just let it go. I said we should master it.
Yeah, I let it go because I trust humans' ability to master it. Like Chris said, I let it go because I trust other humans.
Right, but
I have a natural tendency to do that, even as a kid, and sometimes to my own detriment. So that could be like me going too far in one direction just by my nature, and it's distorting the way I see this.
Your personal ability to like master the scope of technological power available in the world is minuscule.
Not mine, but other humans who are better.
Everybody's.
Yeah, that's why it's a team effort. I'm not just relying on one person.
Exactly. Yes, of course it's a team effort. You don't have any individual power over it.
I mean, I could if I wanted to. I have a degree in technology, for crying out loud. So I could try to exercise more influence over it if I wanted to. I have no interest in it. I'm not motivated to try to influence it.
What's your biggest fear?
People take that role.
Yeah, sorry. What's your biggest fear of technology? Sup lads. What's your biggest fear of technology? What do you think is the dystopian? You're afraid of transhumanism, or we're like so reliant on technology that we're like gonna be dead without it, or something? Are you worried about the environmental consequences?
I'm worried that over reliance on AI is gonna make people dumber. That's for sure.
Oh,
like
hang on, y'all. This is exciting.
Hey,
it's exciting.
He returns.
Welcome back.
I got bullied back on here.
Oh, Miss Liberty.
What's up?
Hi, welcome back. What's been going on?
Oh, just been living life. Trying to get stream stuff set up. I set up OBS. But then it turns out to connect your OBS to your YouTube, you have to wait 24 hours.
Oh yeah, to activate it. Are you going to start streaming?
Yeah, soon, hopefully.
Oh wow. Cool.
Yeah.
Good. You can join our streaming panels.
You're gonna join our personal we'll sign you for a label, our streamer label.
Sign me for a label for playing decade and a half old strategy games.
It's just going to be a video game channel. Maybe we can hook you and Frank up. Y'all can collab. He needs more boobs in his games.
We need gamers on there anyway. So.
Well, unfortunately, my most games that I play don't really involve too many boobs.
Surprise.
Mostly pixelated. Really, if you're talking about old computers.
I mean, it's mostly just like I just play lots of strategy games, so it's not a whole. Okay, Frank, you can be my first panel guest.
You played Rogue
No, Frank, you promised me Christmas. No, we're going to monetize you. You promised me first panel appearance.
What's your channel called, Lib?
I'm just going to be posting it on Liberty Homes.
Sean, I think you have an echo again. Oh, PF Young is streaming League of Legends.
Wow, that sounds
I know he wanted
awful.
to start doing it. Yeah, it's definitely a different type of content for him.
Oh no, I mean League. I feel bad. If he's playing League, I feel bad for him.
Yeah.
League.
I don't like MOBAs, and even I know that League of Legends is like one of the worst MOBAs.
Well, it's one of the most toxic communities by far.
Yes.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Just right on cue.
every word we say today is summoning our.
I know. We're summoning demons. Finally, those rituals and packs are working. All right.
It's the headband, I think. I think the headband, the horns.
Got to be.
The headband, horns. It's bringing it all together. It's like
and Krusty Trombone. Well, yeah, I am gonna set up not going to have like a cam initially. I do plan on either using my phone as a camera and setting that up, but I want to get a VTuber avatar.
Oh my
Like-
god, are you
like-
like a cat
like-
or something? What are you
I
gonna
mean-
be?
An anime girl.
Oh, okay, okay, girl.
Yeah.
Is it gonna like resemble you in person, or is it gonna be a fantasy image?
I mean, it'll definitely look very anime-y, so probably not, because I don't look like an anime person.
But is it gonna like use your hair color and features?
Oh, probably, yeah.
Okay.
I set
That'll
up
be
a couple.
exciting. I'm excited for the reveal.
Don't get too hyped up.
I'll watch it now.
I'm just a
You know,
person.
I like even iFi's little seashell excite me, so I'm very easy to please.
By the
This is
way,
fair.
yeah, okay, so traditional culture left.
Oh
without
yeah,
saying
take
goodbye as always.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
but
take
yeah,
care, Brad.
but yeah, the thing about it is yeah, I wanted to holler at him real quick, but yeah, Liberty Holmes, man, put your fucking channel in the private chat so I'll come holler at you someday, man.
Okay, I will. Let me find
we'll
out.
promote it for you.
Oh yeah, y'all promote
Where-
the shit out of it. I'll come have a conversation with you, then I'll play it on my show, then all my people will come watch your show, hopefully.
Yeah, Machine's
Maybe.
very good at that. Let me put Machine's channel too.
It's
Yeah,
actually orange. It's actually orange backs, but I mean, you know, blood red, sure. You can say blood orange, maybe. I don't know.
Me and Chris made a new song too.
Yo, did?
Oh yeah,
When's
Bounce.
the premiere?
Bounce. I got it right now if you guys want.
Yeah,
Shit.
it's an original. There's not be no copyright issues.
It's an original. It's me and Rant.
Oh hell yeah! Let's.
Me and Rant on Chris's beat.
Rant was involved.
Rant's me
Oh
and
my
Rant
god!
have a, like a rap
I
group.
didn't realize. I would have promoted this. This is good.
Yeah, we have a rap group together right now. So we're just making an album together. And some of the beats are Chris's beats. Some of the beats are like from abroad because Chris sent me like a bunch of beats and they're dope as fuck.
Oh
So
wow!
yeah, so right now me, Chris, and Rant are a weird ass group.
Are you gonna have a
that like
separate
doesn't
channel?
communicate in real life? It's so funny.
That's such an odd combo.
Yeah, I know. It's like hilarious.
You have a
What
link for it, or you
technology?
want to share it on your screen?
Oh yeah.
What
I'll get it out for you.
What technology?
I'm gonna
are
go
you using
grab a
for your
refill,
music?
and I'll be right back while we get that queued up.
Yeah, it's weird. I try to make it sound like hillbilly rap. I'm not very like hillbilly-ish. So that's what it is.
Hey, look, nothing better than some good old Southern rap. Okay.
Yeah,
I love
I know like that's the thing now, like hillbilly rap. So I try
Yeah.
to be like a weird like meth head, like
Meth head rap. There we go.
Yeah, I
That's
tried to
that's the real hillbilly rap.
yeah, I try to do meth head rap. Yeah.
Kind of like what's his name? There's a couple of guys out there that I listen to. I kind of think I follow that, like Cal Scrubby. You heard of him? He sounds like a meth head. Or he's not really what I call meth head, but kind of like hillbilly, kind of hillbilly-ish rap, kind of to a degree. Prof is pretty cool.
All right.
Yeah, I don't listen.
So why is it that when people like ask the weird, disingenuous, like insulting me because I'm trans thing, they always like write out the comment in the most like non-comprehensible way?
You talking about Krusty?
Fucking, yeah. I'm still trying to parse what
Yeah,
what he
Krusty, you
means.
must not watch the stream very much. This is not very original.
If you're completely loaded, you might do that Cuban tranny. What's a Cuban tranny?
Yeah, fair warning. It's not really like a dancey song. So like it is what it is.
Okay.
It's not like a club song, but it is what it is. All right. It's more like horrorcore music. Like, yeah, try to like do like
Yeah, a lot of my beats are.
Yeah. And I also like the cyber element of it. Right?
All right,
As
let me switch
everybody
my
can
flip.
see my drive page. It's okay. Like yeah. Shit, I can't play it now because of the fucking tabs. Give me a second, guys. Sorry. I got like one of those situations where I have too many tabs open and the other tabs like disappear.
Oh, okay.
It's fucking shit. All right, there we go. I gotta refresh this shit, and then fucking. It'll play in a minute.
I got bones that I pick my teeth with, bones under the bed that I sleep in, bones hanging in the trees in the woods that I be in, casting bones like a European, observing my destiny. What did you see? And perception is best to me. What is the reason? Bones sitting next to me, 'tis the season. Might be an angel or a demon, or simply a reaper, softly clinking or creeping or even stalking. Need a directed energy weapon while taking on a whole nother meaning. Bitch, please cease this treasonous speech. There will never be peace as long as my niggas bleed in the streets. Fuck police who be serving the beast. Step up to the table, yeah, I'm serving a haste. Stand 10 toes down, you could learn from my feet, and I get alert. See, church service consists of battling words of witches and wizards in a metaverse or supermarket. Anyone can get it anywhere, and I'm serious. After the first shot, you're delirious. After the second fist, your spirit left. Try to be good, but I ain't the best. Still got a grim reaper tatted on my chest. Just know that you're judged by your own fucking metric. Traded in my cloak for a fucking tech, cause ain't no need to occult shit when I'm spitting. When I pull the trigger, the only thing that's hiding is you, nigga. When I pull that trigger, the only thing that's hidden is you, nigga.
Both knows.
Entrance drop shift, hegemonic sentences through cavalcades of reminiscence. The dark soul mentions crevices of insight, appendages of tripwire reverence. The Gun Hill legend brandish your weapons for Armageddon. Presses headless corrections for willing participants before the line finishes. I got shadow grimace, the obscene dream, redeeming chaos for the into the pilot smoke screen, combined with the best regime, mastering tactical advanced craft methods that will highly adapt to skill presence, sharpening psyche, which often might be construed as badly used, abused, what looks just like me. To mirror the schism, unseen, hidden, the newest eyes cast shadows into the bluest skies, a transitory allegory brought to the kings before me as a sacred gesture plotted to misinform the hordes. The chorus forward in constructions of nano dust filaments, hidden to the secret touch, mystified by the comfortable and united by inner struggle, hidden deep in a bundle of scar-ridden enigmas. Now the teeth and claws risen, man is a beast with red cheeks. With disciples, disease prayed to the east, not to the man-made structures, but to the rising of the sun. Comparison of those diligent millipede legs rushing around in any direction. Misperception and prism seeks bad design. Ideals that hidden in the best derision, from the unlikely incision to the makeshift minions of bad decisions. I'm pressing danger to the head skill entrances, to lock the hidden cages. You can't unstage this, cause I'm live and in the basement with bones hidden all alone, chrome hidden with secret drones. Yeah. Like a program, metal skull covered in skin and heart, routinely cycled by a metronome. Bones are collected to make me feel like the connection is real. Not only steel can sharpen steel. The hidden corrections.
Dope, dude. Dope.
Yeah, that's sick.
Wow.
Did you feel the meth head vibe?
I did feel the meth head vibe. I was
Like a retarded-
really digging it.
I don't know. I wouldn't know what meth vibes felt like. But
Like I wanted to be
go.
like a retarded like meth head like truck driver is what I was going for.
I didn't get that out of it, but it was something. Wow, rant. Bless his heart.
What was the chorus? What was the lady saying?
I don't know if I
Oh.
would have improved it or made it worse. I honestly don't know.
Well, not all songs have like strict choruses and stuff like that.
Yeah, like
At least as far as
underground
the
rap.
lyrics are
Yeah,
concerned.
like horrorcore songs don't really have like.
Freestyle. I have no hustle and flow. I'm bad at that. Chris, we need to do a freestyle.
Yeah,
That
I can't
headband
freestyle.
should inspire something.
I'm very meticulous
Feel it on
writer.
the stream, living the dream with the cream of the crop the machine who
There you go.
lies and flies from stream to stream with his technology decrees. Oh, here's another musical person. Maybe
Yeah,
he can
well,
freestyle.
Hello.
Do you freestyle, Busker?
I did
Or
once.
Cajun freestyle?
I did once in 2020 when I was stoned with my nephew. He was playing a bongo, and I freestyled. It was during the
Hell yeah.
first week of lockdown. We got together, and he wasn't thankfully not scared of me. And I did some freestyle about the whole situation in March of 2020.
Call from the wireless call.
Oh, hey, somebody's phone's ringing. Who's?
Yeah, hold on, I got.
Call
I got-
from
All right, I'll put you on mute. Okay.
It was a good rap song though. I liked it.
It was. I just want to know, what did that lady say in the background of that rap song?
She's saying bones. Yeah.
Bones.
Yeah, she's saying bones. I got bones. It sounds like that's what she said, right?
Well, miles down.
Oh, okay. Miles down bones. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Who wrote it? Did you just freestyled it?
No, I wrote that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote that.
I thought it sounded like Boats and Hoes from Step Brothers.
Boats and Hoes. It's from Step Brothers. God, that's
Yeah,
a good movie, too.
yeah. People have commented for it. It sounded like boats to them, but like it was. I can't even remember where I took the sample from. I took the sample from like a. I took it from like something really obscure, and then it didn't even sound like it wasn't a woman. It's not even a little girl's voice. It's like some dude saying the word bones from like a commercial or something like that. And like I pitch shifted it, did all the shit to it, and made it sound like that. So.
Well, fair
yeah,
play.
Chuck in Tennessee is not a fan of the rap music, so
he is not a fan.
Chuck, you need to be on the rap. We got you. Speaking of hillbilly, if you want a hillbilly, we got one right here.
No, I love me some Johnny Cash too. You know, it is what it is.
I mean, yeah, that's. There's a lot of country music that, if just like adding a beat to it, would make it very, very similar to a lot of rap music.
Like, what's the Little Nas Cowtown, or that song he did, the country song?
Old Country Road or whatever.
Yeah, that one.
Hey Jeff, you know they have Zydeco rap now.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
I'm mad because they I know Opelousas used to put out some real like kind of stank street rap that I used to listen.
Oh, Auntie, you were in a post grunge group. Oh my God.
Wait, what? Auntie just Auntie is
dropping the lore.
She has layers and layers that just keep falling off. Wow.
I like me some post grunge.
I think it's a good venture to try new, like you know, I don't know, what would you call it, like a hybrid, and that's like what me and that dude from Quebec did.
Lil Boosie.
He took my old
Badass.
What?
They have one named Boozy Badass. Lil Boozy. He's a Zydeco rapper.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. I'd like
Lil Boozy. He's the one who said, "Don't cut the boy dick off, man." You guys ever see that?
No, is that really Boozy? Is that?
Yeah. He said, "Don't cut the boy dick off, man." At least don't cut the boy dick off, man.
Frank, the best band ever. You're wrong. You're thinking of Avenged Sevenfold. Okay.
At least let the boy have his dick.
best band ever.
Is that Barbie Girl? Frank even knows.
Kinder whore.
Wow,
Has
Annie,
anybody
that's a
heard
good
of?
name for a band. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, that
has
it is.
potential.
Has anybody
Well, if
heard
you
of a
ever want to
band
get
called
the band back
Meshuggah?
together, we're planning an open mic night.
Has anybody heard the band called Meshuggah? They're like a heavy metal band.
Meshuggah?
Meshuggah.
Yeah, and they've got one good song I listen to a lot. Bleed, it's called, and the drumming in it is class. I love it. Put it on there. No, don't put it on. You copyright it.
Yeah, I can't. I'm not.
And I love metal music. And I love like Godflesh and Celtic Frost and shit. Just the shit.
Yeah.
Burzum, you know that shit.
No idea. I'm not into metal that much, but I heard that.
Like Nordic, like fucking metal, where it's like
like
slow.
Swedish black metal and stuff, Scandinavian.
Yeah, I love
metal.
that shit. Yeah,
Scandinavian metal is like really fucking sick.
That's my stuff.
For some reason, they just make the best like black metal bands. I don't know what it is.
The slow grindcore shit. You know, like that's the shit that I like a lot.
Mm-hmm. Or like the there's a few bands that I've noticed that have popped up trying to sort of recreate sort of a lot of like sort of old like Norse music.
Yep. Yeah, Celtic Frost does shit like that too.
Heilung, I think, is one of them, and they're like a bigger one. They do a lot of really cool stuff. And they even their lyrics are all in like ancient Scandinavian, you know, like really ancient Scandinavian, like as in I'm pretty sure our translations of it aren't even necessarily correct.
Yeah, we was Vikings and shit.
I mean, yeah, actually,
we was Vikings.
we was Vikings.
That's funny shit, man.
We was Slavs.
Talking about making music. You were using an app in your computer to do that, yeah? You weren't like a DJ thing, weren't you? To make that music. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. You're really soft though. You're really quiet.
Oh. Machine Lies. You were using an app on the computer to make that music?
It's just well, I just have the beat and then I just have Audible as a program, and that's it. Like it's just a shitty mic and Audible.
You mean Audacity?
Yeah. 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 Audacity. Sorry, not Audible. Yeah, it's called Audacity. See, I don't even know what the fucking program's called. It's crazy.
Machine. The only thing I think you should add is some reverb to your vocals a little bit. Maybe
I need like a better mic and like some type of like reverb shit.
You can send me the master tracks and I'll try to mix it better for you guys.
Yeah, because that kind of sounded like it sounded like I was like yelling into a megaphone, but it is what it is. Like that's only
still call them master tracks, or are they still allowed to say?
Well, yeah, it's the master each of the master vocal tracks. Just send me like the and then I already have the beat, so I can take them and try to like
combine
it better.
Yeah, you gotta separate the vocal track before you start. You know how to do it, right, Chris? Make sure it's an individual track.
Yeah, I've actually done quite a bit of production work. So
yeah, me too.
Have you guys heard of the band the Kelly Family in Europe?
The Who family?
The Kelly Family.
Teddy?
A famous European band in Europe. Like a whole family, like there's 10 of them. Well, I'm related to them.
Hey Sean, I'm sorry to interrupt. You can make your vocals louder. Your voice louder by going to settings and then audio.
Oh, I have him turned down actually. Let me just turn him back to normal.
Okay.
He must have been loud the other day. He's the one with the echo.
Better?
That's why.
Is this better? I put the volume higher.
That's a little better. I can definitely hear you more.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm related to a family of musicians that made loads of money in Europe called the Kelly family, but they're
Oh, no
not as
shit.
popular now in Europe.
Was that
But
like
they're not as
tradition?
popular now.
I'm
They're-
sorry.
they're-
Go ahead.
They were famous in the 90s and all that stuff.
You related to
In
him, you
Europe.
said?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the Kelly is that kind of like traditional Irish, or is like pub Irish music, or Kaylee?
No, it's like folk rock, kind of pop rock.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the Pogues.
Kind of, yeah, but more poppy.
Cool.
I don't know any famous musicians, nor am I related to any. Though my grandfather did apparently play for a Christian radio station in like the 60s and 70s.
I mean, I've met a lot of famous musicians, but I don't know any like really well.
I have a cousin who was he majored in like, he was a musicologist and he did Renaissance music, and he put together this Renaissance ensemble. He lived in the DC area that was real popular. He wrote articles and books on, so he was that kind of music, but not popular or rock like we would know. But he was real, whatever hit genre he was real famous doing it. Take care, Frank. We can do a episode later.
What type of music was he doing?
Like Renaissance. He studied music, like old classical and Renaissance. He was a scholar, like a professor. I think he had like a PhD, and he studied and taught music. And he had this Renaissance group that would get together and play for decades that he kind of put together and led. And they were famous for, he was famous for that.
Cool.
Tupelo.
Have you ever, guys? Have you ever heard of the musical instrument called the hurdy-gurdy?
Yeah.
Yes, I love the hurdy-gurdy.
Orphan used to use it.
My father plays that, and he used to
Oh
make
my
loads of
God.
money busking. So that's how he made his living. Like he used to busk, and he made like thousands of euro a week busking around Europe. And I used to live with him when I was a kid in the camper. We used to travel all around Europe busking, and he made loads of money with that. And well, he's not doing it as much now, but that's how he made loads of money when he was younger. Busking, hurdy-gurdy playing.
DeFreak, no. To my knowledge, Jeff was never in the
No,
army.
I wanted to be. They tried to get me in the army, but I wanted to join. I wanted to do the obstacle course, like in basic, but I didn't want to do like the whole rest of the army thing. And you couldn't just do that, so I didn't sign up. But they tested me, and I got like a perfect score. They were calling their superiors and like, we got to get this guy. He scored super high. We got to recruit him, get him, however you have to do it, etc. But they weren't able to pull it off.
Have you ever seen the In Living Color, where they have the gay army people?
Oh yeah, no.
I remember Blaine and Antoine.
Yeah, like Jim Carrey's in it, and they're all like gay soldiers, and the drill sergeant's like trying to humiliate them, and they like it. Like they're getting like turned on by it.
I need to look that one up.
Yeah, this shit's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like In Living Color with Jim Carrey, and they're like gay soldiers, and he's like, yeah, and the drill sergeant's like, boy, you know, you're a weasel and all that. Yeah, gays in the middle. Yeah, it's really interesting.
I'll post the link.
Because I don't think
Are you
they'd
from
be able
Texas,
to do that
boy?
today.
Because the only things that come from Texas are queers and steers, and you ain't got no horns.
But Jeff does.
He does though, yeah. So could be either one.
I'm gonna go confound him when I go visit Chris in Texas.
He's just like, I'm both, bitch.
They're not gonna know what to do.
I'm steer, queer, and here.
Is that a true stereotype?
I'm here. I'm steer and queer and
no,
steer.
I was just repeating. Apparently, that was something that when my dad was in basic, one of the sergeants yelled at a guy who was from Texas.
Yeah, it's from Full Metal Jacket.
Yep.
Yeah.
Only steers and queers.
Only steers and queers.
Shit.
Yeah, same here, the freak. I'll go in on an obstacle course with you. I would love that.
Yeah, but Jeff's army hat today, though,
the public could just go to.
As I say, also like everyone in America has 100 army hats and T-shirts. Okay, those things they give those things out like fucking candy.
I don't have any, but
It
Oh,
shows
okay, I do.
I don't.
they kept trying to give me that stuff when they were trying to recruit me.
Complex.
They kept trying to give me this when they were trying to recruit me, and I kept turning it away because I didn't want them to like have any reason to keep trying to talk to me. So I figured if I accepted any of their gifts or anything like that, they would be more inclined to keep harassing me. So I was like, no, I'm not interested. Thank you, and just kind of like kept that going. But yeah,
do you have loads of military surplus stores in America?
Oh yes.
Yeah,
we do.
Every fucking corner.
Yeah.
Not quite that bad, but
yeah,
there's a lot of them.
I know a couple in Dallas. I don't know many. But.
I can name, like I can like in my head direct myself from my parents' house to 4 military surplus stores that are like within a decent driving distance. I also like going to military surplus stores though, so you know.
You like MREs?
No, Jesus.
That's where you see my combat boots, though.
I used to know people that loved MREs, and I could not understand why. I was like,
those people are pretending. That.
Yeah.
They are pretending because they want to seem cool, but no, MREs are disgusting.
I agree. Yeah.
I would only ever eat. Well, I've eaten one before, and I would only ever eat one again if I was like, you know, camping or something. Even then, camping, like I would just bring better food.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you are starving, it is food, technically speaking. So.
Have you ever heard of Steve MRE? He's a YouTuber. He has videos, like lots of them, where he's eating MREs from like the 30s, the 40s, and even back before that. And like it's like stuff that he knows is gross, but he does it anyway. He knows the danger too, and he knows what to avoid. At least he's learned what to avoid.
Well, that's we're gonna go with the boobs and the harem for now, but we might have to shift to something like that if that doesn't work.
Different. Who are you talking? What Paul are you talking about? He's probably Paul enslaved, right?
Yeah, I imagine the guy claiming that he's a child of
God.
God.
P.F. doesn't do drama at all. So
yeah, I was
talk. It's gotta be Paul enslaved.
And honestly, even when he does quote unquote drama, it's always like funny drama. Like I actually love his like league championship things. That's definitely drama, but it's like it's fun drama. It's like, you know, light ribbing,
high tier drama. That's the kind of drama I wish we'd have more of.
The problem is you have to like have a group of people who take themselves seriously but not too seriously to be able to engage in that. Because otherwise you just kind of get into sort of ad hominem shouting matches.
Gets the too seriously that shows up on here a lot.
Hello, everybody.
Anti-Dearest, you're talking about Thor from Mitch Basin. That was Vincent D'Onofrio. Yeah, well, we just watched the movie.
Oh, really? Thor?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. He also was in Full Metal Jacket. So.
Wow, I didn't know that. I hated that movie. That's truly one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Even as a kid, like in the 80s when it came out, I recognized it as a horrible movie. It was painful to sit through. The acting, the writing, the pacing, the plotting. It was like, because 80s movies were so good. Like every movie that came out was like a cultural event. And that movie was like would put the brakes on movies for me. I'm like, oh, this is what a bad movie looks like. It is possible to have a bad experience at the cinema.
I don't think it's like a great movie.
I haven't seen it since I was a child, but like I remember seeing it as a child. I didn't hate it then, but
yeah, I liked it.
I've seen it as an adult multiple times, and it's all right. Like I don't think I'll ever like be like, oh, fucking Full Metal Jacket, turn that shit off. I just it's
you don't like.
No, we're talking about Adventures in Babysitting.
Oh, okay. I have no idea what that is.
I thought we were talking about
Full Metal Jacket. Full Metal Jacket is a pretty good movie. It's
okay.
The first half of it's pretty good. The second half of it's kind of weak, but yeah.
Yeah, I could leave Adventures of Babysitting. That was kind of. As a kid, I kind of liked it, but I thought
I liked it as a kid.
Like, oh my god, what is this shit?
Oh damn, Chuck, the army. So that means Chuck passed the mirror test.
Yeah,
Which is
I'm a
the
huge fan of this movie. What's it called? Doctor Strangelove.
Oh,
yeah, I've heard that's
from
good.
from like when was it made?
Yeah, that movie is so hilarious. You know, it's like one of the
Yeah.
funniest movies.
That was Kubrick too, huh?
Yeah,
it's like one of the,
early
Yeah,
Kubrick.
Doctor
From the
Strangelove's
60s.
amazing.
yeah. I
I
thought
love
that movie was so funny. Like
Oh,
that's like
it's still funny to this day. Like the dude that's obsessed with like them trying to get his bodily fluids and everything.
the dude who rides the nuclear bomb like it's a rodeo horse.
Yeah.
Good lord, that shit is just funny. That's like the
Yeah.
funniest scene.
Yeah, Chuck, it's the mirror test. It's a very highly technical and skill-based test that the Army makes sure to make sure they get the best recruits. All right, they hold a mirror in front of you, and if you can fog up the mirror, you're in.
What is that like an anti-army joke?
Yeah,
humor?
it's a
Oh.
army or a bunch of dumb idiots who have really low standards.
See,
It's not
Auntie has
true.
taste. She knows.
Actually, the Army is probably one of the harder branches to get into, other than
So,
like Marines.
not that I want to get into a big debate over, but do you not think we should have a military?
What, me?
Yeah.
No, we should have a military.
Okay.
We kind of need to. We're a nation state.
Not the current version we have of it.
I think
actually
Costa Rica doesn't have an
broadly
army.
okay with.
Well, there's some like asked if it was an anti-army joke because I picked up on some anti-army.
Oh yeah, no. It's anti-army as in like anti-army as opposed to other branches.
Right. Yeah. The army.
Army specifically. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
The army has always been considered like that's like a dumb one of like it's like the Air Force is for like Air Force is like the
for like the nerds and they get all
nerds.
the.
That's what I wanted. I wanted the Air Force because I wanted to.
Navy's a little bit less, and then the Marines is like the Army, but like more elite. And then
but
the
they eat crayons.
But then there's the Coast Guard. So
I like my mom dated a Coast Guard for a long while. He was a good guy.
Yeah, I mean the Coast Guard is a pretty. I mean, part of it is they also their primary mission is not like combat, so they do a lot of like civic service or civil service stuff. So people in the public interact with the Coast Guard a lot more in like good and positive ways, rather than like the Army, who like the public doesn't really interact with broadly, and all we hear about is the times when they're going out killing people. So it's like that's most people's interaction with the U.S. military. Whereas like the Coast Guard, it's like if you live on a coast, if there's a disaster happens, fucking the Coast Guard's there handing out aid packages to people. So they get a better rap.
Help with natural disasters as well and stuff like that?
They do, yes.
Or is that
though I would argue that we could do more with our military as in regards to national disasters, which is something that's currently like on the table, like as far as both the president and the Pentagon is concerned, which steps in the right direction. I don't really have an issue with the U.S. military as it stands. More so, I have an issue with the military-industrial complex, which is more about the private industries that supply the military.
Well, we need those.
Well, yeah, no.
Some of them, there's very few people that can even supply what they need. So
yeah, no. I'm saying the problem is that because of that, because there are only a few companies, there's like a bunch of issues. Like, okay, so
is it the centralization of power?
Yes. However, in this case, it's the centralization of power outside of
regulation.
No, they are regulated actually pretty heavily.
Transparency.
To a degree, it's more so about who holds, I guess, the keys to the sort of like military industrial power of the United States. It's not the United States government, which is a...
Well, isn't it Congress? On paper, it's the United States government. So what happened?
Well, no. So on paper, the United States government pays private companies
Congress
a bunch of money to produce goods for them.
Right, but the contractors, like contractors work, they deliver a product or a service.
Yes.
And So they don't have the power. They don't have the decision-making power. You just contract with them to provide.
The problem is the military contractors aren't like other contractors that the government works with, because so many of the companies that produce equipment for the military are effectively monopolies, which is a thing that kind of happened post Cold War. There was this big like conference where after the Cold War ended, the Pentagon got together a bunch of their contractors, because during the Cold War we had a bunch of military spending and we had a lot of military contractors, and basically they forced all of these companies to integrate together in order to streamline our supply, because our military budget was going down because we won the Cold War. And so because of this, there are only like 5 major companies that actually supply the US with military equipment. And
What's the fear?
What's the what?
What's the fear?
It's not a fear of something.
None of what
in
you
the future.
described concerns me so far.
It's a frustration with the way our military is currently set up, which is that these military contractors are pressuring the government into continuing to buy like more equipment, and also not necessarily ideal equipment. Like for instance, like military design, like designing a new tank, are notoriously very expensive, and they're made more expensive when it's like a private company that is doing it, instead of it being
Is this going to become a first world problem that the average person is not even going to ever be aware of or care about?
Well, I mean, this is an issue that has been talked about in the United States.
Does the military know that these companies are trying to sell them substandard products and they're choosing to buy it anyway, or so then ultimately the military is making the choice to buy them?
So it is worth noting, it's the US government, not necessarily the military personnel themselves, who are making these upper tier decisions. Because part of the thing is like, we have such a large.
The big problem. It's not leaping out to me as obvious. It's like something you have to go hunt for.
We have a bunch of.
It sounds like normal bureaucracy, like just the way things work.
We have a bunch of monopolistic private corporations that are very deeply embedded.
Okay, but what's the danger? What is the worry? What's the concern?
Oh, because private corporations aren't democratically run.
Okay, but what is the concern? Why? And therefore, our military is at risk because of what? Because they're not. How does that endanger the military? What are you worried about that the military can't handle?
Well, first off, it has ballooned our
military.
military.
Seems worried about these corporations. They're dangerous or a threat, or they're going to impact the military somehow in a negative way that has you concerned. What is that way?
There are a number of things. One of the things is that our military budget has ballooned substantially, and a large part of this is due to the fact that the way this is also the fault of the U.S. government as well, because the way in which funds are allocated to the military is like, so for instance,
is there a short version, a bullet point version of this?
I know, because it's a complex issue. I won't talk about
it.
Let's talk about music again.
When people create the concept of a military industrial complex, the way I've seen it used, it's usually part of a narrative that's trying to drum up they want support for, because they're concerned or worried. They never portray military industrial complex as a good thing. It's always something that they're worried or concerned about or consider negative. So every time I hear that word, it's part of a narrative of concern, and I'm trying to figure out what exactly that concern is, because our government contracting with private companies so far does not rise to the level of a concern for me.
It does for me, because of the degree to which these companies have influence within our government, because they're so big and monopolistic. Like,
What is the worst case scenario? They're going to influence our government to do what?
Well, first, like, they're influencing our government to like continue buying their shit,
Okay,
whether or not we need it. Yeah, but like,
and
it's
the
capitalism that
government's
is
free to say no, so that's between the government and the contractors.
Well, yes, but but we run into a few issues, which is the government is absolutely free to say no, but like you're not giving any credence to the idea that like they're heavily incentivized to not say no via lobbyists, especially post
Okay, so
Citizens United.
how is this different from any other form of lobbying? And is lobbying the
because
larger issue? It's
I
just
mean,
another form of lobbying that you
well,
object to.
with the military-industrial complex, these companies are so like vastly bigger and more ingrained within the U.S. government than most other
Those
contractors
terms are
that
so
work.
vague. Is there something specific that has you concerned?
Well, you remember the president? Who was the president who gave a warning about the military?
It was Eisenhower.
Eisenhower, yeah, he warned
In like
about it. And that's where it took
50-something.
What did he warn about something specific that I can latch onto?
I can go find his.
Yeah.
I can go find his speech and find some tidbits from that. It's been a while since I've read that speech.
Maybe
like,
we can wait on this
I'm not,
conversation when there's more like to go on.
I'm not particularly read up on.
Because so far it just sounds like
Eisenhower's.
another boogeyman that you have to pull teeth to get the actual.
I mean, it's the same. It's
like
the
the man behind the
boogeyman
curtain
that I've been talking about. That I have always been talking about.
We haven't had a conversation very much about the military-industrial complex that I remember. I know it shows up on P.F. Young's a lot. It's a concern of his.
Well, I don't think they'll allow you to smoke weed in the military.
They do not.
Do
they?
Are they allowed to drink alcohol?
Yes, though not if you're under 21.
That's why I got my own jihad unit. You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
All
so
right.
that's what the army hat's about. This is a streamer army. We're creating the stream mob.
Yeah.
And we're
just like the violent students in all the college campuses who are.
Yep, exactly like that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
like Evergreen. I said this was going to turn into George Floyd. Evergreen. It did.
What, the Columbia stuff?
We're gonna go black hat Antifa on these streets, okay?
Wait,
because the administration doesn't know what to do with these kids. It's just like they didn't know what to do with the Evergreen kids.
Yeah, just like they didn't know what to do with the Kent State people. So they, crack down and some people died.
Well, they're not cracking down. The protests are out of control. There's no cracking down. That's part of the problem. And there wasn't cracking down at Evergreen. They even called the city police called, and they even told them, don't come on campus. We don't want you here.
It is worth noting.
Stay where you are. We don't want outside police.
It is worth noting that the Speaker of the House and a number of members of Congress went to Columbia University and threatened to impose consequences and threatened the administration that if they did not impose consequences on the students, that they in Congress would.
Good. I think that there needs to be. I think adults need to come in and set some boundaries.
Yeah, I know. You love licking the boot. I know. You really love the jackboots. We know, Jeff. We all know about your leather kink.
Talking about the military is the biggest. One of the biggest polluters, CO2 emitters in the world. So if you want to make the military eco-friendly, they're going to be like, it's going to be hard to make the. I don't think the military will be able to do that.
We just want to whip the rest. We don't care what color we do.
Live. Don't kink shame, okay?
What if kink shaming is my kink? Damn, got him.
That's true.
No, actually, Trump mocked the environmentalists that are trying to make electric tanks.
Y'all mock yourselves. You don't even take Trump.
Except they did make an electric tank. They made a
but it was
version
too
of
heavy.
the No, it wasn't actually. So no, that's actually not the issue with it. The issue with it is that there's not really any reason for us to upgrade to like purchase a very expensive upgrade package for the M1 Abrams. I watched a whole series of videos from military procurement people who were talking about this, and I think it's called the Abrams X series. It's like It's really, really quiet.
What is it really called? The Abram X?
I think so. It's a design. You know, I think they've made
I'll
a
look it up.
a model.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yo, Lib,
What's up?
you got 2 subscribers. Guess who?
Bitchin', machine lies. I have no
Machine
content. Though.
Lies in the Lib, son. The
Wait,
first subscriber.
where's your channel?
I'm the first subscriber.
I
Never
put it in
forget.
the-
Firsties.
Hang on.
I
I'm
got
getting
first.
up
I
there.
got firsties on Lib's channel.
What's it called again?
It's just Liberty Homes.
Well,
put it
I
in
was
the
already
private
subscribed
chat.
to you.
Oh,
So-
maybe
Hell
I
yeah.
was already subscribed.
Oh, what?
To you. I can't find you.
I was the first subscriber because I
Liberty-
subscribed. I
I
subscribed.
see
to
a
everybody.
woman in a bikini standing on the beach.
That
There's
is not
no way
me.
that's you.
That is
Lib,
not
you're
me.
not
Mine-
subscribed to
With
yourself.
giant boobs.
I know.
No, man,
You know you can
I
subscribe to yourself.
Everybody comes on the panel. Everybody comes on the panel. I automatically go find them, subscribe to them. So even,
Lib,
you know,
I'm
even
not
if you don't have
finding
any
you. Is there
content
some
or anything.
numbers after it?
Yo, I
Uh,
was definitely my own
it
first
should-
subscriber.
It should just be.
Machine, can you put a link to Libs?
Yeah. Let me.
In the chat, private chat.
It's in the private, Jeff.
Oh, all
Here,
right.
I'll put it in there. Don't worry, I got it, guys.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. I don't know how I missed it.
Yeah, let
All
me.
Yeah, so
I'm
Liv,
there.
I was your first subscriber. So ha ha ha.
Hell yeah! There you go.
Damn.
And you know
Machine,
what?
you
I'm
got
even
number
gonna
2
give
though.
you-
You know, first.
I'm gonna give you another subscriber.
Hell
from my
yeah!
other account.
I have
Well,
0
shit, we're
content.
the first 3 on the top of the panel here, so it is what it is.
Yep,
I have-
5 already. Now somebody come and do that for our channel. real quick.
We're all join your trans weed
It's
smoking
the
army.
beginning. It's the dawn of a new revolution.
Hell yeah! Hell yeah!
Trash.
Trans weed smoking army. Let's
yeah, I
go.
remember. Yeah, I remember one day I was on Jeff's panel and he goes, yeah, I just want a safe space for like autistic people that are like neurodivergent and stuff. And I was just like center of the panel, like it just like zoomed in right on my face. Like I was like, oh shit.
I don't know if that was intentional. I do consider you one of us, though.
Like I just looked around at every box. I'm like, oh okay. Like, I guess I'm here.
Hey, on this, in these particular streets, neurodivergent is a compliment, not a.
Yeah,
insult.
that's me. That's me, crazy and retarded for sure.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
It's retarded.
Well, does it make you feel proud? An exclusive club?
Shit, we was Vikings.
Shit.
See, it's the perfect club for people like us because we don't want to be part of clubs that want us to be a member of them, but because we're neurodivergent, we don't want anyone to be part of our clubs, but we all are part of it. So it's like this perfect mishmash of it satisfies our need to want to belong, but also satisfies our need to be outsiders. So
Did you guys even know I got popped on my normal channel?
You got what?
I heard about that. I just found out you had a new channel. I subscribed yesterday. What happened?
Yeah, let me put that in the back too. You guys come.
Yeah.
Yeah,
come-
please do.
We'll post
yeah, I
that.
subscribed to it yesterday, but what happened?
Well, I just I guess the shit for streaming is different because I did like a compilation of my own videos, and it was like I couldn't play it like on the stream, like stream unavailable or whatever.
Like your whole channel was gone?
No. The channel's there. You guys could look up the channel. All the videos are there. Everything's there. I just can't stream for like a week or some shit.
Oh, so you had to create a new channel to continue streaming.
Well, yeah, I just did it for this week. I mean, I didn't have to. I just figured like it was a safe bet.
I know I would be the same way. If I couldn't stream, you better believe I'm firing up a second channel.
And
So
like,
I can access the
Yeah.
channel.
and just because like if they give like 2 more shits or like 3 strikes in a row or some shit, then like they could just take your channel away. And like like I had Adam Green on my show. He had over 100,000 subscribers, and they took his channel away overnight because they changed the TOS thing.
Oh shit. Yeah.
And he even
What?
lost some of his videos. Yeah, like he had videos that had like 1 million views and shit.
What did he do? Like, what was his big crime?
Well,
Just talking about the small hats.
yeah, he talks about them.
Yeah,
a lot.
that doesn't surprise me at all about Adam Green. So
Yeah, that's like his main issue. He gets away with it because he's like Nordic looking. I couldn't get away with the same thing because of the way I look.
Adam Green.
We can have all the protest on campus, but they can't talk about the tiny hats on here. Seems
Well,
contradictory.
I
Well,
just think
well, see,
like because
the
because this
contradiction
is a private
you're
corporation, right? So
yeah, like
they're
that's
allowed
what
to
you're
control.
running
Yeah.
into, Jeff. They're allowed
So
to.
it's like a YouTube bias.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
like the schools are like run by partly like they have to be respondent to like the city laws and the government and shit. But this is a private international corporation, right? They
yeah,
could do what the
no.
fuck they want. And like Susan Wojcicki and her sister, like they're pretty influential. Susan Wojcicki's sister, she runs 23andMe.
Well, if they ever fuck with my channel, I'm making a video about it. I can guarantee.
I mean, for what it's worth,
I just think it's nice of her to let me broadcast from here.
I mean,
To be
I'm
honest.
mostly just confused as to what that Adam Green guy put up about Jewish people to like get him banned because oh my god, I've seen
video.
Liv, if you never actually listen to Adam Green for if you'd actually you'd understand. He's not it's not like subtle.
is he like Nick Fuentes vibes?
Not as bad
it's a
as
little
Nick,
harsher
but
than
not
that.
anything that I haven't heard in other places. I don't know why he's.
It's
getting singled
harsher.
out.
It's harsher than Nick Fuentes. I'd say he was
Really?
before Nick Fuentes.
Yeah.
And his rhetoric is specifically on that one topic. The thing is that he does excellent journalism work. Other than that, so I think that
he's very. I mean,
he was on the Crucible last week. So Andrew had him on, so he's
exactly. He's very influential. He was also on my show, and I've been watching his show for like 2 years, and I've seen him create controversy, and I've also seen him work with like some notable like journalists that were like underrated, but like they had very profound insights, especially on like QAnon. They would like discover information about QAnon and
Oh
shit.
god, he's a big like QAnoner. Ugh.
No, he's not a QAnoner, but he's one of the top people who exposes QAnon.
Huh?
Yeah.
Is QAnon even still a thing?
I am trying to. It is actually, unfortunately, still like a thing. It's mostly now shifted to like older people.
Adam Green like exposed QAnon with Davy Crocco and a few other people. Like he had all these people on his show that were experts on how QAnon got started.
Interesting.
Yes.
That's wild.
Oh yeah. So he does some very good journalistic work that doesn't have to do with that specific topic of like small hats and stuff, And also he does a lot of religious commentary, like the Crucible debate was a theological debate essentially, and from that perspective, I think he's taken an interesting turn, taken into theological debates. But he made one video called "Jared Kushner is the Jewish Messiah" or something like that, or the Antichrist or something like that. And that one was very controversial, like.
I mean, Jared Kushner, to be fair, does look like a doll that someone brought to life.
Well, he is Jewish, and he used to have a building with 666 on it.
Yeah, that was part of his like little like documentary. But yeah.
Yeah, but I heard that he made the peace treaty there with Israel and Saudi Arabia or something. So he was part of the
yes, which is now kind of in the dust. But
But this recent thing that he's going on is really bombastic. It's that Christianity and Islam are a Jewish psyop.
Oh my god!
Like full stop. That is the
oh my god!
Yeah, that's the conspiracy. So if you guys want to yeah, so it's a very very interesting line of thinking, and yeah, you know what I mean. That's what he's going, and he's gotten like hundreds of people to follow his line of thinking.
God, real anti-Semites are wild.
You're talking about the Abraham Accord, and it was very effective when Iran started to attack Israel. All those countries around there were shooting down the missiles from Iran.
Yes, but like the specific deal for like the peace or whatever between Saudi Arabia and Israel is not really on the table right now. They did help. It is true that a bunch of countries around Israel did help shoot down the missile strike around Iran.
That was due to the Abraham Accord.
I think that is a claim. I think that the claim that it had more to do with all of those countries caring very much about regional stability as being more the cause of that. considering it's basically in no one's interest to have a hot war in the Middle East right now, especially between Israel and Iran. Like nobody's interest. It is in nobody's interest to have that happen. Not even like Iran's interest. So I mean, it's good that they did help with the shooting down of all those drones and missiles, but to my knowledge, like there's still a bunch of roadblocks to a full and lasting peace with all of Israel's neighbors.
Oh yeah,
like the Abraham Accords have been insufficient in removing a lot of the current roadblocks. It was a bunch of steps forward and also a few steps back, but
that's because the Biden administration backed off of finishing out the implementation of what they had started.
Part of that
Would you rather not have the Abraham Accords, or are we better off with, even though they're imperfect?
You're better with it.
You just don't want to give Trump
no, there are a number of things in the Abraham Accords that are like good and like are about like normalizing their relations with other countries. However, there are a number of things in the Abraham Accords that are contradictory to that. For instance, the Abraham Accords, a part of that whole like system of plans was instituting Jerusalem as the recognized capital of Israel, which internationally it's
a step towards messianism and
not it's not viable internationally, because Israel is, or a portion of Jerusalem is under Palestinian authority. So
yeah, like one of the interesting things is that Abraham, is not recognized in Islam as a Jew, right? And he's not recognized and he's not recognized in Christianity as a Jew. So the issue is that like the whole figure of Abraham, like how it ties into like the three religions is actually like they actually believe significantly different things about the figure of Abraham. So
well, I mean, I've always heard, I grew up in Christian households. I've always heard of Abraham being referred to as a Jew. I've never heard that before.
I've also heard him. He's like the father of the Hebrew
Jewish
people, and
the thing that Paul cites and the thing that is cited in the Quran is basically that he was before Moses, right? So the thing about so the whole
he would have been before
so he
Moses,
didn't follow the law, right? So
okay, that distinction never. I mean, maybe it's just because
it was before there's a such thing as like Israel, for example, right?
Yeah, I think this might be due to the fact that most of my interaction with Christians comes from evangelicals.
Yeah, like there is no such thing as Jerusalem when there is Abraham.
Who
So,
they
example,
have
like
the
it's so
evangelicals have really weird and wide-ranging opinions about Jews.
Yeah, I'm aware of a lot of them.
Yeah. They're a very in this way. Evangelicals are actually a very diverse group.
Well, let's put it frankly. They have taken from the from the Schofield Bible the notion of a dual road of salvation for both Christians and Jews. So Jews have to return to Palestine for Christ to have a 1,000-year reign. And
some of them,
there's people in the chat that believe that. DeFreak believes that in the chat.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I'm saying like there is a wide range, as in like I've met evangelicals who are like rabidly pro-Zionist, and I have met evangelicals who like have expressed to me that they really, really don't like Jews, that they like buy into the anti, like it's just there's a wide.
Those are part of the extremist movement, the Christian identity movement.
Yeah, I don't explore it much myself either. Having grown up in the South and had evangelical friends, it's hardly ever come up.
Yeah, that's like a secret society. But most of them just believe that Jews and Christians are going to be saved. right? So basically, the basic schemata is that here. Hold on. The basic schemata is that the Jews have to return to Israel in order for Jesus to come back. That's the basic schemata that's mentioned in the Schofield Bible.
To my understanding, most American like evangelicals still believe that for a Jewish person to receive salvation, they have to become a Christian. Religiously, they must
otherwise
accept
they're
Christ.
burning.
Yes.
Most, especially most Southern denominations, definitely believe that.
Yeah.
And those are the ones I can mostly speak of because that's what I grew up in. But yeah, there wasn't a single church I grew up in. My dad was a minister, Baptist minister, most of my life. And,
Baptists would believe. Baptists would believe that, and Pentecostals would believe that. But the Protestants, they have a lot of them have a notion of a dual road of salvation.
Yeah, that is.
What do you mean by Protestants? I mean, Protestantism encapsulates like all of like Baptist, Methodist.
For what it's worth, what he is saying is true in that like the primary Christian groups who believe in that whole like dual salvation, while that's a very much a minority of Christians, most of those Christians are some flavor of Protestant. You probably I can't really imagine finding a Catholic or a Orthodox person who would.
Yeah, they don't believe that. But they because they believe they're the continuation of Israel.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't. So there's no possibility of that. So they believe that they're like a continuation because they believe there's a new covenant now.
Yeah.
So they believe there's a totally new dispensation now. The old law is gone. And all that stuff, So
also Tupelo, I did sing Father Abraham in VBS. Oh my God, you just unlocked core memories.
Same here. Same here. Father Abraham
had many sons. Many sons had Father Abraham. I am one of them, and so are you. So let's just praise the Lord. Right arm, left arm, right foot, left foot. Turn around. Sit. Look, all right. VBS had some bangers. Okay.
Oh, did you watch the documentary called Satan's Guide to the Bible? There's a YouTube video.
No.
It's like criticizing the Bible, but using
but like it's like
cartoons.
Satan is. Oh, okay, but like it's like the whole like Satan is actually the good guy and Yahweh is actually the evil deity. Yeah, I've read stuff about that before. It's interesting.
Yahweh is
evil.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, guys.
Yeah,
I think I gotta get rolling here to a store here. So I'm sorry, but I gotta leave you guys. You guys have a blessed day because I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. So I gotta fucking
get you some sleep, man.
Yeah.
Get up in this. I gotta run to the store and then maybe try to fucking wait for the sun to go down and pray my sundown prayer and get some sleep. But thank you guys so much for talking, and I'll talk to you guys very soon.
Peace. Yeah.
Bye.
Be well, man.
Peace.
But yeah, no.
I thought that. Sorry. I thought that red heifer thing.
Yeah, sorry, no, it's definitely no. Yeah, we can. Sorry,
But that red heifer thing, I heard it was legit. Like they brought 5 red heifers from Texas, and they brought them to Israel, and I heard they're gonna sacrifice them.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
In about a year's
do
time.
Weird shit. Or they'll help
and
Israelis do weird shit.
Them to rebuild. Yeah, I know, to rebuild the temple, and the conservative Jews are working with it as well. So we'll have to follow the story. Check out the red heifer story on YouTube. Or
that's a long way down the road, I'm afraid. A building.
Yeah, but they have the red heifer. I mean, it's in the Old Testament. So in the Old Testament, it says you need 5 red heifers.
Yeah,
like young, like 3 years old with no blemishes.
They love their apocalyptic prophecies and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Or people think they can make the prophecy happen.
Yeah, that's honestly the thing that I think is probably the second biggest worry I have for Christian nationalism in America is like internationally, like Christian nationalists would do if they had, unchecked power in the United States, I do believe that they would do some pretty unhinged shit. Thankfully, they don't have that kind of power, so don't have to worry about it in the immediate.
Yeah, nobody's got that kind of power.
Well, I mean, we absolutely could do some really wacky shit. We're America. Like, who the fuck is going to stop us? Like,
nobody.
Yeah, like, thankfully we have at least some sane people in our international diplomacy department who can.
I mean, people fail to realize it's just not a push to the button that's delegated to one man.
Oh, I mean, yeah, but I mean, the thing is, like, that's not even like, honestly, I wouldn't even consider that to be a worst case scenario, because I don't really think that's actually that much of a realistic scenario. I think a bigger scenario would be like invading a bunch of Middle Eastern countries in order to, like, I don't know, do something like weird. I'd fucking annex them into Israel or something. I don't know.
Or to overthrow Islam, to try to overthrow
probably,
Islam.
yeah. That would probably be the vein that they would go down. But
you can make a hilarious political satire movie about a bunch of Christian nationalists. The government keep trying to engineer the apocalypse and keep failing. They can't get the.
I mean, it would just be a documentary on the Iraq War.
I mean, like, they keep trying to get, like, direct the battle to the hill of Megiddo and everything like that, but no one wants to go.
Are you talking about the first Iraq War or the second Iraq War?
The second one. The first one was more justified.
The first one was because of
the first one was because he invaded Kuwait.
Kuwait, correct.
Yeah, but it's nothing to do with the Bible. Bush said we're doing it for God and stuff, but I don't think he wanted to cause the end of the world with Iraq.
No.
I
don't think Bush was.
I think the real reason was because what was his name? Saddam put out a contract on George Bush Sr.
That probably played a part. I think, honestly, I think the bigger thing was just that Saddam was a big destabilizing force in the Middle East at the time.
Well, that, and he was gassing his own people. Yeah.
I mean, that's fair, but I'm gonna be real. Like, doing crimes against humanity against your own people is not nearly enough to get the United States to full on invade a country. Like, if that were, oh boy, there'd be a lot of countries in trouble.
I believe that too. Like, that sounds right.
Like,
too.
as much as, like, we might, after we begin the invasion, be like, yes, we're doing this to save all those civilians. Like, in reality, no, the fuck we're not. Like, that might be a cool upside that we get to do, but, like, fucking Assad has been using chemical weapons on his civilians, and yet, like, so it's not so much that we cared about his crimes against his civilians. It was more that what he was doing, both domestically and internationally, was causing destabilization in the region, which we didn't want, because Israel is our base over there, and Saudi Arabia was giving us oil at the time, and the whole complicated set of geopolitical circumstances led to the Iraq War.
That's the big.
It's all about the oil, baby.
The second one, yeah.
No, we have no claim to the oil. It's
it wasn't. I mean, I do think that oil played a part, but it wasn't Iraq's oil. It was securing the safety of Saudi Arabian exports to America. At the time, obviously now we're much less dependent on Saudi Arabia as far as oil goes, but at the time we were very dependent on them and a bunch of other Middle Eastern oil nations, and we didn't want the region to be destabilized because that could interrupt our flow of oil. We didn't really care all that much about Iraq's oil, considering the fact that we
sure do care about Israel. And they have no oil. Well, they have a bit of gas, I heard, in Gaza. Well,
Just some.
I think Israel is just about
Well, it's
geography
they're
and
yeah,
religion.
they're a American military base the size of a country in the Middle East. That's why we support them. As much as like some people might be like, oh yeah, we have to protect God's chosen people because we're America, God's other chosen people, and like people might bluster about that, but like the real geopolitical reasons are we want a friendly military base in the Middle East. That's what we want, predominantly. Almost nothing else matters in that scenario. In this scenario, yeah, the U.S. is actually relatively rational. Is a relatively rational actor.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, like this does make us. This does, you know.
That's why I'm more trustful than you are about things like the military-industrial complex for that reason. I think they're going to act rationally.
Well, rationally doesn't always mean that you're acting in the best interest of like the American people or the global community. They're talking, when I say rationally, they're acting rationally in terms of American geopolitical standing. Like,
but what other way would you want them to act?
Well, I mean, I think there are other considerations that need to be taken into account other than just a pure will this benefit America? Because, for instance, rational like geopolitics is what got us involved in Vietnam. I don't know how better to like acting.
Is there something we're currently involved in that you're worried about?
Yes.
Okay.
Which is
our support for Israel.
We've always supported Israel.
Well, and we do have treaties, so some of that is.
Yeah, no. My issue isn't the treaties. My issue is the selling them weapons because they are currently engaged in a offensive war.
Defensive war. October
Hamas
7th was defensive, unless somehow they're culpable for October 7th.
I think you could probably lay a considerable amount of the blame at specifically the Netanyahu administration for allowing October.
So they deserved having the same.
No.
Justified escalation.
No, that's not. So if you would let me finish, in the same way that I think the Bush administration is partially responsible for 9/11, in that it was their negligence.
Kind of disturbing.
It was their negligence that in part caused it to be as bad
in
as
that
it was.
way, not that they brought it on themselves, but
no.
It was, it was negligent. I thought the same thing when the day I heard about the event. That like something Israel must have had let their guard down or something.
Yeah, and I do think that led into a lot of and the fact that like the Netanyahu administration had been pretty supportive of Hamas being the leading power in Gaza, in supporting them and stuff like that. I do think that the Netanyahu administration was a part of how October 7th came to be. If they had acted differently, I think October 7th would have either been, the impact would have been lessened, or it could have been potentially completely averted.
Well, I
in the same way that 9/11 could have been, but that's.
I talked to a guy that lives in a border town in Israel the other day, and he's so thankful. He says, after 15 years of being bombed every day, he said, we can go outside in peace. For 15 years, they were getting shelled by Hamas, their town, because there was a border town next to Gaza.
Yeah, that's not good. I don't support attacks against civilians.
And he said, well, the biggest problem was that Hamas embedded itself within the civilian community was the biggest problem.
Yeah, that's what all guerrilla.
Yeah, but
forces
Lib
do.
has a different standard for warfare than the rest of people that actually live on Earth have.
I have a standard that is roughly equivalent to America in Afghanistan,
What do you
which
mean?
is I think well, I mean, so like for instance, our rules of engagement in Afghanistan were very, very strict. Like you couldn't call in bomb strikes on buildings. Like
Oh, that
period.
was the same thing with Vietnam was tightly controlled. They didn't
There were a number of
allow
instances where
them.
yes, no, you are right. Our official rules of engagement were decently strict in Vietnam, though those rules were
Violated.
quite a few times, and to in some cases catastrophic consequences.
Yep.
And also, then we also bombed a neutral country during Vietnam, which was not cool, but you know. I do think I can defend more our behavior in Afghanistan. I mean, I'm not gonna defend the invasion of Afghanistan, but I will defend our behavior during the invasion of Afghanistan because I do think that, especially after decades and decades of study and experience, we had really found a really good way at rooting out and destroying insurgencies. Because we were quite successful actually at rooting out and destroying the Taliban. Just it turns out that that's even if you're doing so in the most efficient way possible, that's not how you destroy insurgencies.
Well, why didn't they consult you then instead of whoever made the decision?
Because he's a liberal tranny.
Yeah, because I'm a liberal tranny. Also, this is like lessons learned from Afghanistan. What I'm talking about.
Well, yeah, that's another thing is we don't always know going in. Like we
no. That's what I'm. That's
why
why I'm not like overly critical of like the Afghanistan stuff because I'm gonna be real. Like we did an at least okay job at not fucking everything up. We just didn't stick the landing.
I'm suspicious at how sensible you're being today. I feel like we should be arguing more, and I'm nervous that there's another foot waiting to fall. But let's keep going.
These have always been my geopolitical positions. My geopolitical positions.
He sounds very consistent to me. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm with Lib today for some reason. We usually argue about these very issues, but for some reason today.
Well, I mean, I won't defend the second Iraq War.
Yeah,
our
I was
involvement
nor
that,
our... and I kind of followed a little bit of the build-up, but even then I was ambivalent. I was never like rah the U.S.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest part with the second Iraq War was that the justifications for actually doing the invasion were very shaky, and then also we kind of really failed on the follow-up, considering the amount of civilian deaths that followed our invasion. Again, a thing that we did better in our other invasions, but obviously we fucked up in Iraq bad.
Yeah, you should have attacked Saudi Arabia as well, because they were the ones.
I mean, unironically, Saudi Arabia is like more antagonistic towards the United States than Iraq, I think, ever was. Like actually antagonistic. Obviously, Iraq postured, but as both Iraq wars showed, America is on top. We are the top. We fuck you. You don't fuck with us. That's not how that works.
just like Team America said, there's always gonna be dicks and pussies. It's better to be a dick.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of like the thing. America is the dick, and literally every other country is the pussy. Like,
yeah.
But every now and then, even they might fuck around and find out, but even that fucking around gives us a little hit now and then that's satisfying to all the rest of the pussies, I imagine. So they're not going to ultimately, and maybe that's how Hamas felt on October 7th. We're not going to take down Israel, but even if we damage them just a little bit symbolically.
Also, I wouldn't say like Hamas is not a super rational actor as an organization. They're a militant jihadist organization, which does influence their decision making pretty significantly.
Yeah.
This is just the same. Every like insurgency has, or not every insurgency. A lot of Middle Eastern insurgencies have these issues, which is that they are ideologically jihadist, and that leads them to making suboptimal decisions because their ideology like.
Well, they have a
demands
lot
action.
more support now on our universities, so that might help them out.
I mean, I haven't seen it. I have seen pro-Palestine rallies, but I have not seen
That's what I'm
pro-Hamas
talking about.
rallies. Well, there's a difference between Palestinians.
Oh
and
well,
Hamas.
then I see them beating up the other people that come to protest them too. Like they had some Native Americans that were talking about this is so and so land, and the Hamas people started beating the shit out of them.
The Hamas people or the pro-Palestinian people?
Pro-Palestinian.
Yeah,
Guys, instead of bombing them, we should like bomb them with like leaflets of like peace and love and I don't know.
Yeah,
like
okay,
chemicals that make
Sean,
them
whatever.
Yeah,
Go,
it's gonna
you want
take
the Talcott stream.
it's gonna take a little bit more than
down.
that. I mean, Sean.
Know, like, Jesus,
Sean,
that's what Jesus is all about.
Sean, I'm a ceasefire now gal. Okay, I'm with you in that the fighting needs to stop, but I don't think the fighting will stop by. Yeah, I think the only thing that will make it stop is to stop the bombings and missile strikes, give the Palestinian civilians food and medical supplies so they don't starve to death and die of disease, and then build back Gaza, actually build it, not just let them sort of like wallow with Hamas at their lead.
But do you think a lot of Israelis, the leadership in Israel wants to kick them all out, the Palestinians?
I mean, definitely there are definitely many people in the upper echelons of the Netanyahu government who explicitly want to do that. However, that is not.
Is it many? I honestly don't know. Is it the? I know a few.
It is a number of them. A number of like high-ranking ministers, which even if it's just high-ranking ministers, those are the people who make the decisions, who make a lot of the decisions. And
I don't see the rest of the country or world letting them get too carried away right now, though.
I mean, why not?
I'm just not as worried. They're not setting off my threat meter the same as it is other.
I mean, I'm gonna be real. Like, the world only tepidly responded when Russia started carpet bombing Ukrainian cities.
I remember.
Like, I will say the world did respond to Ukraine, but not to the degree that I think it deserved.
I was surprised Ukraine I didn't expect it to even stand a chance. So I was like surprised it even.
Oh no, I was too, and I think yeah, and now they're basically just relying on Europe and America to get their shit together and start production of more wartime supplies to send there. That's basically what they need now at this point.
Well, we just bought 81 Soviet aircraft from Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
For basement bargain prices.
Yep.
To send to Ukraine.
I mean, at this point, we could have bought Ukraine the amount of money we sent them.
Not really, actually. We've only spent like I want to say like less than $100 billion. Like,
I mean, actually, how much could a Ukraine cost? What, $3?
$10? Yeah.
$10.
$10. Yeah.
Lib, what you brought up Ukraine to make a point about Israel, I believe.
Yes. Oh yeah, that just because what Israel might do is would be horrifying to most of the world.
I just don't. Why are you so cynical on Israel, though? I don't think they're going to do that.
I mean, there are already plans to annex parts of Gaza. which
Why is that something that would horrify the world?
Because that is definitionally ethnic cleansing, because they would be annexing the territory and kicking the Palestinians who lived there down into the other parts of Gaza.
Okay, when you said you were worried that Israel, I had so much like more horrible things in my mind imagining than just that what you were talking about.
Than just what ethnic.
So if that is your big
cleansing?
fear, if that is the boogeyman looming over your bed at night around Israel, I understand that. I'm not as worried about it. I'm not even at that part of the process yet.
I mean, there have been ministers who've said that
But
their
what I
goal
know
is to-
about you, what I've seen is if there's not some fear, there's be another. So if that wouldn't be the fear, your mind would create some other fear, because
mean,
you
this isn't-
seem to
okay.
respond to a lot of imaginary scenarios.
I'm not imagining that Israeli government officials have seriously discussed annexing parts of Gaza in the sort of after they whatever get rid of
And
them.
that's what you're panicked over because of some statements that they've come out from these people, these particular people in the
government,
current cabinet. Okay.
In the government.
Yeah, I mean, if you want, if it's hitting you at that level, then
yes,
then that's the reaction you're having. It's not doing
again,
the same for
this
me,
is
because again, like just like with technology, I trust that the rest of the people that are not those people are going to be able to steer it in a rational direction.
I mean, I think
I don't think these people have the power and authority that you think. And I don't know. Maybe they do. It just doesn't seem
they do
to
have that
be
power over
like these
Gazans.
people are enough to do that without some kind of resistance.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
I don't think
It seems
genocides happen
like
all over the
my
world.
little meter built up through experience and my own predictive model. My little meter is not moving as much as yours.
Well, see,
It could
I guess
be
my
experience
meter
or
is based
generational
on I've looked at a number of genocides that have and are occurring throughout the world, and our care for those is usually minimal at best.
But usually we can't do anything about it.
Sometimes there are other times where we can, like for instance, the Serbia one, which was based. But like for instance, in Sudan, right? Like there's a genocide going on in Sudan, despite the fact
you don't
that
have to care about every genocide equally.
No. I'm aware. What I'm saying is that I'm pointing out that just because the international community like thinks something is bad and doesn't want other countries to do it, does not mean that the countries aren't going to do that.
Right, but I don't think Israel is one of those countries. I have a more trusting picture of Israel than y'all do. Like y'all are very
well. The thing is,
skeptical or suspicious of them in a way I'm not. Even with these few cabinet members, it doesn't tilt the balance to me to the level of doom that it does. And mostly, I've seen it in your generation. My generation seems less concerned. So I wonder if it's like we just have more experience with these kind of precarious situations,
or maybe my generation just has better access to information and
or more
knows
social
more than
media
you
and propaganda
and knows more than you. Well, I mean, most of my information I don't get off of social
well
media.
we'll see. I guess we'll see if your scenario plays out, in which case I will come and give you credit and say yes, you called it, or we'll see if mine plays out. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, but my point though is that just because countries generally don't like genocide does not mean that they will not then do that thing. I mean, the Uyghur genocide.
Yeah, but I just don't think
Israel's
going to do that. I don't think we're the type that's going to do it. Like I just don't. I'm not as cynical as you are. I talked about cynicism.
No. I don't think the United States would like if Israel annexed.
You have like
Gaza.
Israel phobia or something that I don't have. I don't see them as nefarious.
I see them. I'm not looking at them as nefarious. I'm looking at them as regular, well, somewhat rational. That the Israeli government has taken some actions which I don't see sufficient rational justification for, but I'll buy it, I guess. Like there's
even when they tried to like overturn the court, they weren't successful. The country pushed back, and they didn't get their court reform that they wanted.
Oh, I'm mostly talking about like the the stuff that Israel has been doing to instigate conflict with Iran. Again, not to say that this isn't a reciprocal relationship. However, Israel is.
I just think anything Israel does, you're going to see it in the most negative, cynical, suspicious light possible. That's the pattern I've noticed with you so far. I've never seen Israel get a fair and balanced treatment from you, and I can't figure out why, other than it's something deeply psychological, and that I may not ever get to the root of. I have something.
Why does it? Why does it have to be psychological?
It just seems it doesn't have to be. It seems like in this case it is.
Well, you're just
as
inferring
so many
that,
things on here seem to be. But I'll be right back. I have to go grab something out of the oven.
Well, he's inferring that. I'm not saying that it's something psychological. I'm saying that it is a representation of me having looked at the geopolitics surrounding Israel and its neighbors throughout most of its history, and I view them in about the same way that I view like Russia. I think that they are reasonably rational actors. They might be a little bit. There's a little more hope for Israel than there is for Russia, considering Russia's experience with quote unquote democracy. Israel at least has a better democracy than Russia does. But that's not the only metric that I use to judge countries on. I think if you were to do that, you would run afoul of some like really fucked up shit if you just like if you defended democracies no matter what in anything they do. Considering that America was a democracy when we were doing Native American genocide, and so I don't think that supporting that would have been good.
You ain't no engine lover, are you?
You ain't no engine lover. Did I say something anti-Semitic?
No, I said engine like because you said when we were at the Native American genocide. I was just like, it's a joke, dude.
Yeah, no. Apparently, I said something anti-Semitic. I mean, if I did, I'll take it back and reword it or something. I wasn't trying to be. If I
don't remember that. If you did.
No, I don't actually think. I don't think she's talking about you specifically. I think she's just talking about the community. I think
anti-Semitism is rampant in the trans community. It's bizarre. They should try being trans in Palestine.
Is he talking maybe on the left? There is some anti-Semitism on the left.
There is anti-Semitism.
Trans activism sometimes intersects with the left.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody ingrained in a number of trans communities, trans communities are broadly pro-Palestinian, but they're not usually broadly anti-Semitic. Usually because there's usually a couple Jews around, and I don't know. I don't like hanging around when there's a bunch of anti-Semitism around.
Yeah,
you even pick up on it sometimes, and
I don't understand how people can confuse and continually confuse a country's government for their people and blame the people for the actions of the government.
It's because it's like for the same reason why people will like blame all black people for that like one time they got mugged and like suddenly they're like super racist.
Well, they say like even a dog, even an animal, if you like hit it with the newspaper, like if a certain type of person does it enough, that dog's going to associate that with future people that resemble that. So your brain can be conditioned very quickly to react to a superficial phenomenon.
Yeah. You can be trans in America without being beheaded or stoned to death. That is true. I don't think I or any trans people that I know of have said that it's okay what goes on in Muslim countries where they do, stone people or behead them for being gay or trans or whatever. But just because, like, they do some fucked up shit does not mean that I don't know, like the like I don't know what this argument is, I guess, trying to get. Like, I shouldn't be pro-Palestine because I'm trans, because there are some Palestinians who would like want to stone me to death. Like,
other than intersectionality, I don't even see the two as related. I can imagine there would be trans that support and don't support.
Yeah, no, there are. Like, that's the thing. And also, for what it's worth, when I was saying that, like, I don't like hanging around anti-Semitism, I have not encountered significant anti-Semitism within the trans community. I have met anti-Semitic trans people.
So you haven't personally, in your
like,
area, encountered the anti-Semitic trans.
Yeah, I have encountered anti-Semitic people, but like usually I then sort of distance myself, because people who, if you learn someone's anti-Semitic quickly after meeting them, it's usually because that's like a big part of their personality. Like, I worked with a guy who, like, half the shit he talked about was just anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. And like,
well, I mean, that would turn me off of
like
conspiracy, conspiracy theorists in general. But like, I will say, and I love to complain about Seattle as much as I can, but I have not noticed hardly any anti-Semitism. It's hardly ever come up. The topic.
Yeah, I mean,
it's people or Israel. It's not rampant up here. If it is, I have not picked up on it or noticed it.
Yeah, I do think it's largely. There is a concentration of it in sort of like southern areas, and I think that's more of a holdover. Like, again,
like southern country or southern Washington State.
Southern country. That's where, if you're gonna like find like hotbeds of anti-Semitism, that's probably where you're gonna find it, and that's mostly due to like holdover. But like, again, you're not gonna find like huge movements of people in the South who are all like big on. Like,
I never encountered it growing up, and we had a
honestly,
small Jewish community where I lived, and they were all everybody accepted them as part of the community.
Yeah, no. I mean, like, I do think, especially now, acceptance for Jewish people in America, anti-Semitism is on the decline. Well, it was on a decline. Has been,
along with all the other isms.
Yeah, there has been a sharp uptick in anti-Semitism, in like anti-Semitic like hate crimes. But that's basically what happens anytime Israel goes in the news. Like, that's not I don't think that's not like a unique spike. It's bad. It's not good. But
well, listen to all these quote unquote truthers on YouTube that talk about the small hat. That's anti-Semitism.
The what's considered anti-Semitism these days, like all those other categories, I think is getting broader and broader. But actually, it's more nuanced than people make it seem on the surface.
Yeah, like having like a dog whistle for Jewish people is like weird, but I don't say that in and of itself would rise to, for me at least, to like the level of like anti-Semitism, unless the person, like, I would have to get more information on the person to figure out whether or not they are based. Like, I couldn't do that just based off of, they call Jews small hats. Like, that's weird, but people are weird. So
yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
However, if someone's like, oh yeah, talking about the small hats and talking about how the small hats control Hollywood, the small hats control the banks, this blah blah blah. Okay, now I think I have built up enough evidence that I think you might be anti-Semitic. Maybe, I'm just spitballing.
Most of the people I've heard use the term small hats on here, I think, is trying to avoid censorship. I think they're trying to avoid being like, they're trying to get.
I just say Jewish people.
No, I do too. Like,
I do too, but I mean, I think that's the reason.
They also say little mustache or whatever.
Oh, that's
for
1930s, 20, yeah.
Yeah, big bad Mr. Mustache, yeah.
The Charlie Chaplin wannabe.
Yep.
Wizard.
Yeah, is there a guy?
Isn't it crazy though that was a very popular hairstyle, style of beard thing at the time? That was a really I mean, it wasn't just like Charlie Chaplin. That was like tons of people had that. Can you imagine how many people had to shave, like to change their their look forever because of Hitler? That's the real crime. That's what he really. He ruined fashion for so many people.
Yeah. Isn't there
What
a
were you
guy
saying,
on
Sean?
Flow State's channel that has like a Hitler stash on the Flow State's channel? And I'm like,
Oh,
what?
that's just
Wizard.
Wizard. That's just Wizard.
Yeah, El Piero Wizard, whatever name
Yeah.
he's going
Oh.
by on any particular day.
I like his stash. I think it fits him. It suits it. Like he looks good with it.
Well, his
But he's not
his
a Nazi, is he?
mentality is on the same level.
Is it? I don't think it.
I think
I've
so.
interacted with him a number of times. Like, is he even like a fascist? Could you even describe him as a fascist? Even like, I mean, he might be anti-Semitic. I don't know.
What if I shaved my mustache into the Charlie Chaplin? But left,
Oh,
but
do
left-
it! You'd make a great little Chaplin mustache.
Maybe. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I Wizard has said some weird things, but not like. I don't know.
I don't pay attention to him.
Yeah.
I couldn't even
weird.
tell you
Weird.
most of what
Weird
he's
isn't
ever
enough
said.
of
Sometimes he's
for me.
entertaining.
He's definitely. There's definitely been a few streams I've been on that he jumped on and kind of like.
Yeah.
Kind of ruined the conversation that was happening. But I mean, you know, that happens a lot.
It's almost like I view it as sometimes a little bit like Neurojack, right? So like when I first sort of started interacting with Neurojack, and he would sort of like do the sort of like dog whistling stuff, and I was like, dude, like you need to cool it with all of your using phrases that anti-Semites use, and just say the word, because like you continually to using this is just mounting evidence that you're actually anti-Semitic. I was like, just say the words. They're not like dangerous or anything. Just say Jewish people. Say Jewish individuals. Talk about that. Like, don't like, I don't know. And there's a number of people like in the Panelverse who do kind of like the same thing, who they'll like.
I'm using these words so people don't think I'm an anti-Semite because I'm
To Jack's credit, Jack does that stuff to. I mean, it's not really. I don't know if it's to his credit or just like I'm just saying. I'm just as. I mean, he does it particularly to see who gets triggered by it. He's trying to like weed out like he's trying to weed out like inauthentic actors.
I don't know if you know this, but Neurojack is one of the biggest trolls that we have in the entire Panelverse, and maybe one of the best.
And so, I mean, a lot of times whenever he's doing that, he's doing it intentionally and knowingly that he's making himself sound that way because he's trying to see like if anybody's going to jump on board and agree with him, kind of thing. It's like he's trying to like be bait or something, you know?
Yeah.
It's not a technique. It's not a tactic or a technique I agree with. And I've had conversations with him about it before, but you know, I still think that he has a reason for doing it that isn't
throwing out a line trying to catch a fish, huh?
Yeah.
No, yeah, and also, Auntie, that's totally fair. I absolutely understand that, especially considering here in the United States, for a long time, anti-Semitic hate crimes and anti-Semitism in general was downplayed for a long time. We did in the past have a lot of problems with it, largely imported from Europe, because Europe also has had their issues with it, and currently has some
they
issues
still
with
do.
Yeah. It's more on like the America level of thing though, where it's like it's a kind of problem, but like it's not like a societal problem.
Do you think like how over here we have like the white guilt thing where there's certain like like white people that like treat black people like they're royalty because they don't want to be seen as racist? Do you think that happens in Germany?
I feel the same way about the trans issue.
Do you think Germany does that with Jews at all? Do you think there's like Jewish people over there? I mean, German people over there that like, every time a Jewish person comes around, they're just like, oh, I mean, you're wonderful, and everything you've ever done is wonderful. I love you so much, kind of thing.
I mean,
are there white people that are doing that to black people?
Germany, you're not allowed to criticize.
Well, I'm being hyperbolizing, but
Also, for what it's worth, there
Germany,
was a relatively small movement of like quote unquote like leftists who did that kind of like white guilt thing. However, it did come out later. Like a lot of them were actually like the whatever the Blitler the Black Hitler. They just they were racist against white people and utilized like left-leaning language to sort of get an in, and then pushed a lot of their anti-white rhetoric. However, they have been, at this point, to my understanding, mostly been excised. Most of the more explicit ones, obviously not all of them, fucking Robin DiAngelo. Well, Robin DiAngelo is more of like a liberal thing now, honestly. I don't even think like
more like Ibrahim Kennedy. He's much more.
What about
Yeah,
that
he's
Sarah Rao, or whoever, that new one that gives those dinners that shames all the white women? She's real.
It was like a year ago. I don't know. I don't know if that's still going on, but if it is, I can't believe that was ever. That's got to be. That's one of the ballsiest business.
They made a whole documentary about it.
Yeah,
it was
I think-
so uncomfortable to sit there. She gets a bunch of Karens together and convinces them they're racist, and then has them go at each other and call each other out for their racism.
I know it's hilarious and terrible, but at the same time, you got to admit those women, they're doing capitalism though. Hell yeah, they are. They found a way to make money off of white people's guilt in a way that
That's true. That is true.
Is so like in your face and so obvious it's what they're doing, and they still made money off it. I'm just like, damn. Like those people they did the fuck out of some capitalism right there. That's some barren. That's some like, robber baron kind of shit. Like that's like, like just like right to your face, being like, yeah, we're gonna take you in the back room, we're gonna beat the shit out of you, you're gonna pay us for it. And they're like, yes, master, yes, whatever you say.
Yeah. Also, Auntie mentioned this, and I'm glad you did, because this is actually or at least especially early on, was a genuine consideration, which is there are Nazi movement, like neo-Nazi movements, within Ukraine. However, most of them, most of like the militant ones, were sort of formed under the Azov Battalion, which was a like paramilitary group in Ukraine, and they actually got sent to the front lines and took like pretty horrific casualties. Which honestly, to me, two birds with one stone. Okay, like not only are you fighting against Russians, but you're just having like actual neo-Nazis do it for you. Like, come on, it's a win-win.
And getting
you get fewer neo-Nazis and fewer
if
Russians.
the neo-Nazis won, though, that wouldn't have been a good thing.
Well, no, because then you have less Russians in Ukraine, and then after the war, you then tell all the Azov Battalion people to like get fucked, because.
But at the same time, the Azov Battalion been existing for a long time. They hadn't told them to get fucked yet, so I don't think that would have happened. They would have gone back as like conquering heroes.
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, part of the issue is that Ukraine has been a nation in turmoil for literally decades because of Russia.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm saying that like if the Azov Battalion had actually been successful to any degree, they would have been. It probably would have turned more of the country Nazi-ish.
I'm not necessarily convinced of that. The neo-Nazi like movement in Ukraine is often overblown, often by Russian propagandists, and oftentimes ignoring the other neo-Nazis in Russia who are also heavily employed by the Russian military. Like Russia also has a neo-Nazi problem.
I agree with you, but at the same time, I think you might be overstating how much of it was Russian propaganda, considering the number of news stories I saw, especially at the beginning of the Ukraine war, where like it was about the Azov Battalion, but they weren't talking about the fact that they were Nazis, or like the Nazi that got.
Oh no, I do think
I mean, it was more of a problem than that. But I mean, I do think you're right overall. Yes,
I do think the media definitely did undersell how bad the Azov Battalion was. I actually don't know if they still exist. But
I'm sure some of them are still there. I mean,
yeah,
I don't think
the organization
like exists anymore. If we could have gotten rid of all the Nazis, we would have gotten rid of them a long time ago. So they're like roaches. Yeah. They'll always be around hiding.
And is it our problem to even worry about? They're not our Nazis.
Yeah, no, I mean that's my whole thing. Is like, I mean, but I think the concern is that when giving Ukraine arms, some of those arms were going to the neo-Nazi paramilitary.
Yeah, but they're the ones that are going to help fight the Russians, which is what we want.
So yes, no. That's my position, which is that like, yeah, sure, these neo-Nazis want to go kill Russians and die for Ukraine, sure. Here's a gun, man. Do you, okay? Like, now, if the Ukrainian government was more explicitly sympathetic with the neo-Nazi groups in Ukraine, I do think it would prompt, I think, more concern from the U.S. State Department, because arming a neo-Nazi paramilitary group who has explicit and extreme support from their government is probably not something we want to do.
Oh yeah, kind of like when we trained and basically formed Al Qaeda, or
okay,
or
so
whenever we armed all the guerrillas and the Iron Contras and
okay, so the Contras is a really different issue. I would actually say that when we trained so also saying we trained Al Qaeda forces does make it sound like something happened that didn't happen.
I know. I'm hyperbolizing. I always do that. I'm sorry.
I know. No. I get what you're saying, because it is kind of a
humorous effect, but sorry.
Like the Contras are probably a better example of us doing something like not good.
Wait, what is? I didn't catch it. Would you say as an example?
The Contras, when we like.
Oh, I remember that. Ali North, the Iran.
Yeah.
Nicaragua.
I didn't understand it as a kid, but I do remember the big scandal.
Yeah,
I had to look into it as an adult because I kept seeing I kept hearing people kind of mention it like in passing, so I had to figure out some of the things I had to look up for context so I understood what people were talking about when they're talking about it, and I still understand it entirely. It's a very complicated situation, but
it is.
It's basically like the CIA just has this long chain of giving money and weapons to here that go to here to go to here, and they do all this stuff like that, and this money and weapons get distributed all around the world, and a lot of times, sometimes they kind of fund some fascists sometimes, because
insurgent.
The fascists will make deals with us that the democratically elected leaders of that country might not have made with us. So maybe we install a few fascists a few times. No big deal.
Yes. Tupelo, you are right. We did fund and arm the Mujahideen in the 1970s. However, I don't think that was bad.
Hey,
the
Rambo 3 is dedicated to the brave fighters, the Mujahideen.
We underestimate.
Which I think is hilarious.
Does Twitter allow Nazi groups extreme of both sides? Does Twitter allow everything on? You must have regulations on Twitter,
So there are some, and this is actually part of the problem, because so when Elon Musk took over and he was like, oh, this is going to be a perfectly free speech platform, but then the EU stepped over and was like, hey, buddy, we have actually certain laws that you have to follow, that you have to moderate your site, or else you can't operate in Europe. There have been a number of governments that have demanded that Elon censor certain parts of Twitter. That Turkey was one of those countries. There are certain laws that Twitter has to follow, even in America, that Twitter has to follow. However, to my understanding, yes, Nazi groups are allowed on Twitter, sort of. It depends.
There's no Nazi group. There's cosplayers. There's no actual Nazi groups. Y'all are so far. That's like Civil War reenactment.
I think there's a few, but I don't think there's that many. I don't think. I mean, Nick Fuentes is.
Yeah, no. I don't think it's that big of a problem, because honestly,
I'd rather them be on a public platform and know who they are than have them hiding in the shadows. That's exactly what was it? Sometimes the best cure.
Yes, that would
be out there, and we can all look at them and be look at the Nazi, ha ha ha. I'd rather be able to point and laugh at them than just be wondering where the Nazis are, because if they all disappeared all of a sudden one day and there was nowhere Nazis, it's suddenly no.
Well, part of the issue is that I don't know, Nazis who talk about their Nazi shit all the time tend to not be pleasant people to be around.
Yeah, I'm not worried about. Nobody's gonna take. They're never gonna have the numbers ever. They're going to be up in Idaho with Uncle Fatty. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, I'm not.
It's an
Yeah.
internet boogeyman. It's an
Well, I mean,
artifact
it
of
happened
modern
once. It
social
did happen
media
once
more than
before.
anywhere else. We didn't have like Nazi fear growing up, other than in like certain big cities with the punk scene, like the
Well, hang on.
straight edge.
You are aware that there has been a rise in like hate crimes associated with neo-Nazi and white nationalist groups around the world
Like
over the
against them?
past. No, by them, by people who have been
Okay,
attributed to.
what's the picture here in the U.S.?
It's not good, as in like that. It is on the rise. It's not like the vast majority of people.
I hardly see it or hear
Is it
about
gone
it. I've
from like
personally never seen one.
12 to 24? Or are we talking about it's gone from like 12 to 2000? I mean, what are we
It's
talking
another internet fandom.
Part of the issue is that a lot of a number of mass
These two are
shootings over
drama
the years
defined.
have been perpetuated by people who are radicalized into
And
like
also
white
mentally
supremacist.
unstable. Don't
Well,
forget,
sure, yeah,
the
no.
mass
I'm not
shooters
saying.
in every case. They've always been known. It's like they always leave
Yeah,
behind
they're always
rambling freaking manifestos.
yeah,
pretty much
they're
prove
always
they were
like
schizophrenic or something. Yeah.
they're always the craziest of them. Usually because most people don't want to die, and
Sure, but
most of their stuff
the
is
thing is that
suicides.
those people would have found a way to snap on some group something no matter what. I mean, it's just like those people are just primed for that sort of thing. I don't think that they were. I don't really think they had to be radicalized against Jews or anything. They're unstable people that were looking for outlet for rage. And if it hadn't been a grocery store, it would have been their family or something like that. Just like
To a degree, I don't disagree, but also like I do think that it is worth noting that we are seeing a rise in the number of people who are being radicalized by these online like white supremacist groups.
And the other side, there's some radicalized leftists too. Lots of them.
Well, hang on. How many mass shootings in America in the past 10 years
I'm
have
not
been done by?
accepting your metric. You're not going to choose the metric. We're not talking
You're
about
right.
mass shootings.
You're
I'm
right
talking
though.
about-
You're right though, Liv.
Wait,
not
I was talking about mass shootings. Though.
Oh,
That's all I was talking about.
Except for the one trans.
Oh, the radicalization specifically leading to mass shootings.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, but except for the one trans mass shooter, you're right. Lefties don't do mass shootings. They beat people to death instead.
There were two. There was another trans shooter recently, I believe. Somebody on here told me about it. I pulled up the article.
Was their shooting associated with ideologically left beliefs though, or were they just trans in a shooter? Because
to me, it looked like mental health more than anything.
Yeah, I mean,
it's always
mental health.
It's always mental health. See, this is the thing.
People
It's
that do
always
those sort of
mental
things
health,
are
but like
mentally ill.
it's always mental health. But like the ideology that like pushes for it does matter, because like again, if someone's like a lefty and they're like, I don't know, an anarchist or whatever, and they're all about like fucking mutual aid, likely that's not going to lead them to go do a mass shooting, even though they are being radicalized. But that's not going to lead them to go do a mass shooting. But if your radicalization includes brown people are invading from the South, and Jews are controlling the world, and you're already someone who's predisposed to not having good mental health, and you get radicalized into all of these crazy conspiracies.
But we are being invaded.
Yeah, but well, go tell that to all the people on the left hollering for "kill the Jays," and tell me about the radicalization of violence. Like you making lefties seem more peaceful than they are in reality.
Well, first off, I don't think that anti-Semitism on the left is a broad and wide problem. You seem to think
I don't think I think that applies to the right too. I think you cherry pick a few little people from the right and try to make it characteristic of the whole right in a way you don't do on the left.
Because I'm specifically
which is a very
talking,
basic move. Everybody
because I'm specifically talking about people who shoot up other people.
Yeah,
if you find me some verifiable like left-leaning
my
people
take on that
who
is
went and
it's all
shot up a
mental
synagogue.
health. It doesn't matter what the catalyst for it is. If it comes from the left or right, it's all mental health. You're always going to have that in society.
Yes, but what I'm saying is we have seen an uptick in the number of mass shooters who seem to have been heavily influenced by white supremacist ideology, and usually that radicalization comes from like
What
online.
does uptick mean? Like 4 instead of 2?
I'll have to look up the FBI numbers.
Okay.
But this is where the thing that I think where I get, like, I guess I differ from you really about this, Liv, is that the thing is like with mass shooters, there's always, almost in every case I've ever seen, there's a serious mental health component. I think part of that has to do with the fact that you can pick up a gun and shoot people, from a distance, and it gives you like that when they're in that kind of state, when they're in that psychosis that they're in, it gives them that disassociation they need to to do something like that, right? Whereas on the other side, what I see in the left, I see people like in the left, on the other hand, will like gang up on and beat someone to death, and that, which is something that takes a lot more conscious and in the moment thinking, and also a lot of groupthink too. There were several people here in Dallas that during the BLM riots that we had even here in Dallas, that we had like people marching through Deep Ellum and stuff like that. There was several people that were killed, but they weren't killed by gunshots or knives. They were all beaten to death by groups of people. And that to me is that shows like that there's something sicker to me in that than there is even, and the mass shootings might be more harmful in the sense that more people might die, but there's something more sick to me in the mentality that's like, let's just gang up and beat these people until they stop breathing, kind of thing. It's not like they just knocked them out. It's not like they just put them in the hospital. They killed these people. And like I read about it in the newspaper right here. I mean, I had to go find the articles and stuff like that. It's been years since I thought about it, but like that, and that disturbed me and blew me away. Then I was like we weren't even involved. Like why is this happening here in Dallas? Like we didn't have a police brutality incident. In fact, it was not too long before that where like we had an incident here where a black militant man got out on a rooftop and snipered like 8 cops or something like that. I can't remember, maybe 8, maybe just 2 or 3.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I don't know.
Yeah, and it was barely talked about in the news at all. But like
I don't know if I found what you were talking about, but on Reuters, Dallas man attacked during protests did not die from his injuries. Was a guy protecting his store allegedly.
There was a lot more that were reported in the local news that never made national news. I mean, like,
it sounds like, Dan.
I looked at the stories in national news. I looked at the stories in national news, but I only ever saw the stories in like, because I used to actually get the Dallas Morning News, and
I take offense to being called a liberal. Okay, I am not a fucking pansy ass little lib. Okay,
no, he's not. He's not at all. I mean,
your name is Lib.
I'm not a liberal.
Don't come and try that over here.
And if you believe in the woke agenda, that makes you extremely lib.
Yes, I think that we should trans all the kids and gay all the straights. That's the woke agenda.
Yeah, well, I know that would curb overpopulation.
Mm-hmm.
What's the woke agenda?
To trans all the kids and gay all the straights. Yes, that is indeed the woke agenda, and I do support
it. And cat the dogs. Cat my dogs and.
Yep, cat my dogs and have litter boxes in the schools. Cats
and dogs living together, total mayhem.
But yes, I probably do support the woke agenda, but I reject the framing of it as being a actual like top-down like dictated agenda, and I also reject.
No, hang on, Miss Deer. I've shared on here before that Washington State has mandated 4 days of mandated DEI training for every single state employee, where they indoctrinate you with specifically woke, anti-racist crap. So that is top down. That is from the Washington State was the very first state to have an entire department of diversity, equity, and inclusion at the state level. That is top down.
But you know what's going to happen with that, though? I mean, most of the people, there's a large group of them are going to go along with it just to make everyone happy, and there's going to be the other large group of those people that are going to specifically rebel against it because they went to those classes, and it's going to end up creating it's going to end up leading to mandating that sort of thing always leads to its downfall because. I mean, seriously, unless they're clockwork oranging these people, unless they're putting them in front of they're putting them in a movie theater and forcing their eyes opening and making them watch stuff until they're brainwashed, It's not going to work. I mean, like those
It
classes.
even says in the description they're trainers themselves, or let me see how it says, using psychological theory and innovative interventions, learners will be able to understand how belonging leads to the maintenance of traditional othering, et cetera, et cetera. Who's implementing this psychological theory and innovative interventions? That's not something that can be done at the training level. Or
that kind of stuff they're talking about is usually stuff like
I'm going to put this link
what you would describe as, because again, when I was in college, we went through, it wasn't described as DEI because this was 2014, but it was like diversity training because we were training to be RAs and stuff.
Yeah.
And
that stuff is stupid, and it's not. It doesn't
I
work.
think people that grew up in South Louisiana should get an automatic exemption from all that. We learned that in kindergarten. I'm sorry y'all didn't. I'm sorry, diversity is so hard for y'all that y'all need entire departments and institutions and trainers.
I don't think anybody here needed that, but the fact that they have that stuff, the fact of the matter is that it doesn't work, and that it's been proven not to work. There's even studies that have shown that the DEI training stuff does not work. It does not improve anything, and you can't teach somebody to not, if they're really racist or they're really bigoted, you're not going to teach them how to not be bigoted and racist in 4 days. I'm sorry, that's just not the way people work. I mean, especially if you're talking adults have been have been soaking in those values and soaking in that mentality for so long that it's going to take a hell of a lot more than a class to actually it might tell them the rules that they need to follow, the things they can't say and can say in order so they don't get fired. So they might give them that, but deep down, it's not going to cure any kind of actual racism. It's not going to cure any kind of actual bigotry. All it's going to do is make them more and more like virulently opposed to that kind of thinking, and they're going to it's going to make them angry on like this instinctual level because they're being forced into this kind of
I mean, the problem is, Chris, people were using the same argument against desegregation. People were actually using this identical argument.
That's a different
desegregation.
Thing. Desegregation was something that was literally we desegregated the population. It was law passed down, and people had to deal with it or not. They had to learn to deal with it.
And I was one of the first generations, and it worked fine. By the way, everybody.
But now
I agree.
I
do agree. It did work fine. But for what it's worth, there were a lot of people, especially in the South, who did not want to, and many of the arguments proposed by people were, you can't just have them accept black people into white spaces.
Yeah,
by doing that, you're just going to make them hate black people more.
They said the same about gay
people.
They said the same thing about gay people. These kinds of arguments I find to be relatively I do understand what you're saying. Chris, I find the argument that we shouldn't do this because it'll actually make people more bigoted.
When my daughter was in high school, she wasn't allowed to take Black history.
There's a big difference. There's a big
they
difference
would not have been able to keep me out of that class.
There's a big difference between passing a law that desegregates the population or passing a law that legalizes gay marriage, and there is from trying to and the fact that eventually just that mentality, even like I said, even people like my parents and stuff that were on the conservative right side, but they're always very compassionate people in the first place. They weren't necessarily for gay marriage, but they accepted it was law of the land and everything, but they were never hateful of gay people either. They weren't really bigoted. They're just conservative Christians, right? There's very specific conservative Christians. And it's a very different thing than mandating I mean, exactly what would the DEI, if there was a law that could be passed down that's based on that DEI stuff, that, I mean, what is it? It's just I
don't support legislation around any sort of DEI initiatives.
Right. Well, that's my point. My point is that there's a big difference between making something legal, such as gay marriage, and taking people into and forcing people to go through a 4-day seminar where they learn how to not be racist or learn how to be anti-racist or whatever the fuck it is, and expect that to take. I mean,
so this is just anecdotally. However, in that RA training that I described earlier, there was a guy in my class who I knew because he was. I met him and we got some classes together. He was pretty generically country boy kind of thing, in that he was pretty homophobic. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, there's plenty of homophobes around.
However,
Wait, I want to hear a story.
after we did our proto DEI training exercises, where it was basically doing a bunch of like weird and wacky team building exercises, where you like talk about yourself. We talked about things like privilege.
Get to touch your boobs?
But that's exposure. That's exposure therapy. That's much different than a seminar.
But why do we need this entire DEI apparatus for the one random country person that's going to show up now? And it's just all to just assimilate rural people.
Well, a part of it is that, like, what I'm talking about is this one specific person and the change I saw in him and the conversations that I and other people had with him as a result.
That could all happen without subjecting everybody to hours.
The thing is, those conversations, at least with him specifically, were prompted by that.
Well, I've always had this thing about me having to pay a price for the lowest common denominator. If he doesn't have experience with diversity and I do, I don't want to have to sit through a class that helps him. How do you I already know that shit.
So how do you quantify it? How do you quantify that?
I don't think we need it at all. I don't think the amount of country people showing up rises to enough.
It's not just country
and extensive of
because
I think people will naturally assimilate. Just showing up at a college or an educational setting, he's going to naturally assimilate somewhat.
Yeah, but you said you were already.
I don't think it needs to be forced. I don't think it needs to be top down or sideways or encouraged. I think people will just do that where they need to do it.
I said
were you
friends
with him before the class, or that was only how you became friends.
More acquaintance. We never really like became like close friends, but like I knew and had interacted with him the year before, and like I took part in some of the conversations that he had with some of the like queer folk on campus, where it was mostly just like him talking about stuff, people talking about their experiences, him talking about his own experiences and that sort of stuff. But I mean, like he joined the I can't remember what the fuck the Gay Straight Alliance. For my college's version of the Gay Straight Alliance, which is just a club for gay people and straight people to like hang out and party. But he ended up joining that. It was good and useful for him. And it is to a certain degree a like lowest common denominator thing. In that, like, basically any institution where you are going to have public-facing individuals, usually you want to train them on how to interact with the public, which
that's never worked on me. They've been trying to do that with me for years.
Because they're talking.
To me, that's a form of ableism. People. They're trying to polish you up to this neurotypical norm.
Yes.
But Lib, at the same time, you said this was mostly team building exercise. It wasn't one of these things where you went into a room with people and they're like, okay, how many people in here identify as white? And and people raise their hands like, you're all racist. So you go to this side of the room. We're gonna I mean,
well, they didn't do that, but like there was a thing where we talked about like intersectionality and privilege and how like just because someone might be privileged in one area doesn't mean that they're like necessarily like whatever more privileged or whatever. It's not like a stacking thing. It's more of
stuff that I would expect Sesame Street to teach people in kindergarten. The idea that grown adults need to be taught this is so fucking condescending to me.
Yeah,
I just bristle at it from the start.
But at the same time, I mean,
Sesame Street. We need to fill you in on all the things you might not have learned as a child when you were in kindergarten.
I do see the value in teaching people what people mean when they say intersectionality, what people mean when they talk about those kind of terms and stuff like that. Because
like people are teaching the value of doing their job, how to do their job.
Teaching people those things are true and good and right, and you should always do those. That I'm not trying to indoctrinate people doesn't work. But I do think that it can be useful to know what some of that terminology and stuff means, because intersectionality is one of those things I didn't understand for a long time. I was like,
I don't even know why the workplace is the place to learn that.
Well, the reason we were learning that is because we were supposed to be RAs, and obviously we would have a smattering of people from all walks of life with all different kinds of life experiences in our dorms, and so like it was pretty important for us to be not just like passively aware, but like actively aware of this social dynamic.
What specifically?
The idea of like people being different and coexisting and living together, which I understand you think sounds condescending, but
no, that doesn't. That makes sense. It's the fact that they're different because of their skin color or their gender or where they're from or this or that, not for
those are all categories that
or personal reasons.
Oftentimes inform experiences.
No, only for people that can't get beyond stereotypes, which is what our generation had done, and y'all are back at the stereotype stage. We got past that.
What?
I said that only works for people that work off of stereotypes. Those characteristics only have meaning if you're working off of gross stereotypes. If you're working at the individual level, they're not relevant or important. So we had all of that diversity you're talking about. It just wasn't superficial diversity. It was diversity of personality, diversity of background, culture, viewpoint, individual diversity. Even from the same group, each person was a unique individual.
Hell yeah, boobs.
And so you're saying it's important to focus on the diversity of what their skin color is or what they look
what their
like,
experiences are.
Well, we had that at the individual level. Like, I don't understand why.
Yeah, that was what we were talking about. And so, like, there during the training, it was like,
then why in my friends' DEI training did they divide them up into black people and white people in one room and have a black caucus and a white caucus if it's not about superficial diversity?
Then that DEI program is like shit. And nothing like the one I did.
That's good to know. That's validating.
Well, that's what I was trying to say too, Liv.
I've always said this. I even like when
I posted the one from Washington State that's top down, and it looks pretty extreme too.
Oh, I didn't see this. Oh.
And I've also seen them implementing this kind of stuff even in grade schools and stuff like that.
Yeah, we got this in kindergarten.
Like they divide the kids into black and white.
In my generation, a stereotype was a starting point. Everybody knew it was a rough sketch to start with, that it wasn't going to correspond exactly to every member of the group. So you learn to kind of use stereotypes as a shorthand or like a starting point, but never to rely on them to define a person.
I mean, growing up, I don't think I ever had any kind of close friend group.
Well, some people
they didn't have at least one, like it didn't have at least one a minority or whatever someone on that's not a non-white straight male. I didn't hang out with. We had every women different colors and with I knew lesbians, I knew gay people, I knew
the girls and the boys played together.
There was always like a diversity of people in the groups, and I grew up in the deep South too. So like, I mean, it's like it's really weird to me that like that they feel the need to. I don't know, because kids by nature, like they really have to be taught racism. They really do. I mean, like I wasn't taught to be racist, and I wasn't racist because like my parents didn't like. I grew up in a poor neighborhood with mostly poor black kids, and like
most people I know were not taught racism, and that number's even less now. That's why I think this is a moral panic and a conspiracy theory, not an actual crisis.
I'm saying, most of my friends when I was real little were black kids, and so That's who I played with. That's who I went outside and played with it after school and stuff like that. That's what.
Well, I mean,
what
in my view, DEI can't and shouldn't just encompass racism, because there are obviously a number of other things as well.
Well, I can't help it that I didn't know a bunch of gay
Race
kids.
does seem to have a very heavy focus.
Sure. I'm not a fan
And even
of
like
those
again, I
kinds of
posted the
DEI.
Washington State one, and it's centered around race.
Yeah, no, I saw one of the things was just like it focused on sort of like racism in America, like a history or whatever. And I don't.
In fact, the first unit is racism as a foundation. The second unit is racism as a structure. So yeah, I agree it shouldn't all be about racism, but I'm showing you that it is. And when they take black people and say, if you're this color, come in this room, and if you're this color, come in that room, it's hard to not see that as about racism, especially from the South.
No,
I get really nervous.
I reject. No, I agree, Jeff. I reject the ideas that it needs to be even primarily about like race. Maybe there are like, maybe there might be like specific circumstances where like in a certain company or state might be like, wow, we are kind of having a weird rise in like, hate, racial hate crimes. We should probably do a little more focus.
The impression of many people is that it is heavily centered around race, because we have folks like D'Angelo and Kendi, and so to pretend like our concern about the race issue is misplaced, I think it feels a little bit like gaslighting.
I mean, I'm
like, even with George Floyd, we saw it. Like, so racism is a huge component of this, or race is a huge component of this, whether you think it should be or not. So if we don't need it for race, then why do we need it?
Because people who come into these places will often have a variety of life experiences, and I think that
was called a normal workplace when I was growing up.
But that's not the real reason, though. The real reason that we have these things is because what we have is the reason they do them is really not. To enlighten the few people that might not have enough experience around black people or something. It's so that they don't say the wrong thing and offend the people and make people feel like, And
I actually don't even think it's that. I think it has more to do with like a CYA situation, like it's a cover your ass,
I think you're right.
Because you'll see this a lot with like corporations, and in the phrase rainbow capitalism, like the whole idea.
What I meant, though.
Yeah. Sure, I'm not a big fan of rainbow. Like, on the one hand, like the fact that whatever progressive stuff is profitable does bode potentially well in the, I guess, like vibe of the direction we're going. I don't like the disingenuous like claims to that kind of thing for like, oh, we're doing this so that we can be less racist and stuff. No, you're doing this because you want to be viewed as a not racist company. Like, you're not doing this because
exactly. Yeah. And let me ask you this, like, we see on these streams all the time so many different types of people from all different races, backgrounds, cultures, where coming together and somehow getting along and integrating. And why do we don't need any DEI department to pull it off? Why can't they just come and watch ordinary people do this on their own?
Well, I mean, honestly, usually this isn't a problem at like organizations for adults. Like, I would say that I think that
I was thinking about it more. I've encountered it mostly in the adult world, in trainings and my friends' trainings, new job orientation.
Because I've only ever encountered this in like my college experience. I have never.
It's moved from those college people have taken it into the workplace. It was at one point more limited to academia, but it's since become I lost my word, but made its way to the word. It's like trickled out to the workplace.
It's migrated. It's migrated.
Yeah, as they graduated and entered the workplace, that came with it.
Yeah,
that's what
those are primarily
I think you hit the nail on the head though with the CYA thing. That's the thing, is that like they know that because anytime you have a diverse group of people, at some point somebody from some group is going to make a statement that's going to it's going to trigger a snowflake type that it doesn't matter if they're on the right or the left or whoever it is. It could be either way, and they could get all offended. And so like they go through this DEI thing. So like at least whenever like they want to make, and they probably have to sign something that basically basically keeps them from getting sued, because we gave them the training, we told them what was right. So I mean, it's not our fault that they offended somebody. Even when we used to deal with that thing by just like people just like growing a slightly thicker skin and maybe trying to have a sense of humor every now and then.
Yeah, that's the adult way to handle it.
It's not funny. Sometimes people are just being bigots and it's not funny. But it's not like,
I still think that's the adult way to handle it. Like adults can handle it among themselves.
Do you think you don't have to be racist and still not allow illegal immigration? I mean, the whole point of a nation is kind of racism, isn't it? Countries are kind of racist.
But I wouldn't call that racism, especially in a nation like the US.
When you think about it, a country. Sorry.
To answer your question.
Go ahead, answer your question, and then just go back on mute.
Or finish asking your question, Sean. You are very quiet.
Yeah, I can't hear you this time. I can hear you really clearly.
Naturally racist. Countries I think are naturally racist, because if you're not racist, you would just let anybody in.
No, not
but most countries, I don't think, do that.
But it's nationalism, not racism.
Yeah,
it's actually it has lots more to economics though. It's a lot more about economics than it is about racism or wanting to keep your country racially pure or something. Yeah. It's like, I mean, especially when you have social programs and things like we have Social Security, Medicaid, like we have food stamp programs, things like that are set up for people. So whenever you have a large influx of migrants that are coming into the country illegally or something like that, and that puts more of a strain in the system. It leaves less money for the eventually the system will collapse on itself if it's just unlimited, because the resources aren't unlimited.
Yeah,
I mean
that's why we have quotas for immigration. Every country has this. It's just like a necessity because resources are limited. So you can't just
I agree that we've done that some of our immigration stuff has been messed up, and our immigration policy, dear God, needs to be reformed in such major ways it's not even funny. However, nonetheless, I don't think we should have no immigration policies at all.
I don't
know why we can't enforce our current policy other than that we need the labor, like it benefits.
Well, I mean, I think
that we can just change it to let in more labor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
We can also simplify the what's the process of becoming an American. And
there's all kinds of things we could do with our current policy. It's not. I don't think it's as broken as it has to be.
Yeah,
but that's one of the main things I was thinking is broken. Is like it's really like my great grandmother, came to this country. She technically she already had citizenship really, because she married a U.S. naval pilot that she married, that they moved to the U.S. But for some reason there was some sort of weird like snafu later on with her immigration status, and she had to actually go through all the immigration classes and everything, had to get official citizenship for some reason. I can't remember why now. Yeah, I was very young when this happened, but I do know, because I heard my dad talking about it before. And so she had to go through all that stuff, and like it was like a 2-year process even for her, even though she'd been living in the country for years. I mean, as an American, it's and like my grandmother and great grandmother, like they were. I mean, I am a second generation immigrant. My immediate father was born in Spain, and his mother was born in Spain, and it's a Spanish order back. So I mean, my family is. At least me, I'm a second generation immigrant. I mean, I don't even though I don't speak Spanish or anything. But I'm just saying, like, it's very. I mean, it's very bizarre that we make it so complicated. Like we keep saying, well, people just follow the procedure, but the procedure is just ridiculously like long and like convoluted to get through, just like it is just like so many. I mean, that's the reason why people don't trust government and government programs in the first place, is because of how fucking convoluted and ridiculous it is to get anywhere in them. Like I've
Also,
discovered,
technically, if your father was not, or if your parents weren't nationals, then you are technically a first-generation immigrant.
well,
If
my
you
dad
are-
was my dad was born in the was down with this. He has a Spanish birth certificate, but they literally moved like 2 days after he was born, so he was only there for a couple days.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And
Right.
because his father was like I said, a naval pilot, that he got a U.S. birth
Yeah.
certificate as well. He was technically
Okay.
technically a dual citizen, even though he doesn't have like a official dual citizenship. I didn't say a word about my Spanish ancestors. I was simply talking about the immigration thing, Auntie. But oh, and Auntie, yes, I do plan to watch that. You asked me earlier about that movie. You asked me earlier to watch that movie. I have it ready to go, but I have to finish my car tonight, so I won't get to watch it tonight. Probably, but
I have some sad news anyway. Tonight's my D&D night, so I do have to wrap up soon anyway. So maybe if you want to get started your car, this is a good time.
Yeah, no, yeah, I should probably go get started while there's daylight. So, but no, it's really good conversation.
Liv, do you want to open a stream and break in your channel?
I'm good. I actually my girlfriend's sister is coming over, so I'm probably gonna get ready for that. Okay. I probably should have actually gone off earlier. Sure was. I was gonna make some cookie dough. Yeah.
Have you got any use out of my my gifts that I brought you?
Yes. Oh my god, I love that bag. It's so good. And the jacket, it's just a little too small. Oh my god, I hate it. Like the front of it won't like close because the shoulders are just slightly too small for me. But
oh well.
My girlfriend's partner can wear it and likes it, so
it's so great. I'm glad someone's getting some use out of it. Like I told you, everyone needs a jacket for the revolution. That's just what it looked like.
True.
This military. It looked like a military like revolutionary jacket. I just thought it was funny.
It was pretty cool.
I have no idea what size.
I just need the beret to
yeah, exactly.
to complete
my
revolutionary.
I'm glad you use out the bag. That I wanted to go to someone who could get good use out of it. So it makes me happy to do.
Yeah, definely.
All right. Well, I'm gonna sign off, guys. I have love for you all.
Thank you all again.
Love y'all.
And Tupelo, you asked me something earlier in the chat. Tupelo, you asked me something, and I kept starting to get to it, but everyone was talking, and I can't remember what it was you asked. Oh, how would my peers in school admins had responded if my prom date was black? Well, I was homeschooled, Tupelo, so I didn't have a prom. But actually, I had black friends my whole life, and they used to come over the house and hang out with me and stuff like that. So if my parents had done some weird, creepy homeschool prom or something like that, then and my date had been black, I'm pretty sure they would have been just fine with it. They trusted my taste in people and friends. So, and they probably shouldn't have. But
Auntie did ask a little bit a while ago, and I missed it, why the South gets such a bad rap for like racism and stuff. And while I do agree that we have made a lot of strides, I would encourage you listen to people who are still alive, who were alive during the civil rights era, and where those people were from, and you'll see why the South has the reputation that it has.
Okay, why do we still have it? We're not those people.
Yeah, that's because
the
these
most
kinds of things.
Racist people I've ever met is up here in the Pacific Northwest. Seattle is the most segregated city I've ever lived in.
No, I
At
agree.
least we all mingle and live together in the South and don't have to have classes tell us how to get along.
No, I agree. In fact, actually, also, one of the most racist people I ever met was a fucking dude from Pennsylvania. Like, and he was more racist
If
than...
this is all about busting stereotypes, the South needs to be part of that. And so
no, I agree. No, I agree. I think that the South, by and large, has made huge strides in terms of like the deinstitutionalization of the racism, and now and it's become so unsocial. unsociably acceptable. Yeah, so does Arkansas. Though admittedly that's not a full South problem, that's just an Arkansas problem. They've got the KKK still there, so that's
my step grandmother, I guess she was the postmaster in Vidor, Texas, which is the notorious Texas sundown town. It was just like half an hour away from where I live in Louisiana. And I watched that town become less rich. Like they even did, like I think Geraldo went there and even did a story on it because it was so.
Like we had a sundown town. Whenever I was
just in one generation, I watched it change.
Yeah, no, same thing. Like we had a town called Falk that's literally 15 minutes north of Texarkana. That was when I was a kid was still considered a sundown town. That was still like a place that you didn't go if you didn't stop there if you were black. And then by the time I moved away from there, the last time I was through there, I stopped at their one gas station, and it was owned and by an Indian guy and like the cashier was black. So like that's how far it went. And just my youth. I mean,
sundown towns, I think, are something that people will like bring up and imagine are a bigger issue. They're actually really not. Anytime there are sundown towns, it's entirely like just a regional issue. Like again with Arkansas, like
why isn't that true for racism in general? I think it's regional as well. For the most part.
Oh yeah, in terms of like the bad explicit race. Yeah.
That's why you'll have to go to this next level of invisible racism.
Well, it's not invisible; it's like personal racism. But like because we have seen in a decline in institutional racism, we have seen a also decline in like interpersonal racism, which is good. And like minimizing that within our society.
I think that box can be checked, and we can move on to the next issue because other than people that have their microscope out trying to find more racism to keep it going.
I think
every one of my friends, black friends I've had as an adult, has said at some point to me something similar to the fact that they actually preferred they've actually preferred the way it was when they were younger, and people were just like openly would just like say racist things, that they'd be friends with those people and everything, and they would use the N-word and stuff like that. Like it didn't bother them. They all said some version of the fact that it's this fact that like there's a lot of people that you can tell are racist towards you, but they just come out and say it. I think that's a big value in a lot of black communities too. It's like like just being kind of like being open and honest with who you are kind of thing, just being like upfront about it, is like a lot of them just prefer if you're racist, you just say so, like they'd rather it just come out and say it. Like they were much more upset by the subtle kind of like the racism, what they call it, the racism of low expectations, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Admittedly, Auntie, I didn't actually know that sundown towns were still a thing until I lived in Arkansas. Because at least in my area of town, I mean, I guess I was near Memphis, so not really going to be too many sundown towns when over 50% of the population is non-white. It is kind of hard to have sundown towns when like everyone's black. But then you go to like the Arkansas, and they specifically have problems with it.
There are neighborhoods in New Orleans where if you are white, you are taking your life in your hands if you walk through them. Cops won't even go in them. So it's not even just, it doesn't even just work one way.
And I would say it doesn't. I would say sundown towns in Arkansas, you're in danger no matter what race you are, because those hillbillies ain't about what color skin you are.
Yeah,
they all about that,
Yeah. Oh yeah, I had a buddy who he was from Arkansas, and he was half Thai, but he was very, very white passing, but like you could just, it was very clear that he was half not white. And he would, he's the one who actually informed me on all the towns that we needed to avoid as we were driving around. But yeah, most of the sundown towns, at least in Arkansas, are usually because they will have a quote unquote large contingent of like KKK members, and by large it's usually like a handful. But it's usually like the handful, and it's like one of them's the mayor and one of them's the chief of police, and it's like
it would be fun. It's kind of it'd be kind of a funny skit, like like the the KKK group where it's just like two guys. It's like they're the last two KKK members in this town. Like
that's kind of what the KKK are. Like
they still get together every week, and they have their meeting, and they get in their robes, and they call the minutes for the meeting, and like they look at the notes from last week, and they're just like, well, there's no new business.
Tommy's gone.
Yeah.
Tommy's gone. He moved up north to be with his black femboy boyfriend.
So I guess anybody, I guess it's time for the fucking, right? That's what we're
God. I mean, that's basically what the KKK has kind of become. They're basically a joke of an organization. I mean, they're still like a vile organization, but like
well, see, it's okay. It's okay for them to have sex with each other because they're doing it through the hole in their sheet. So
yeah, that's yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are not eye holes. They're dick holes. All KKK members have an extra penis like attached to their other one so that they can have the two holes. Yeah, that's the eye holes.
Wait, I missed something. I got really distracted and I missed something. My ear came in at a weird place. What's going on?
There is no way to explain. You're gonna have to go back and watch it, man.
You are gonna have to. And even then, it probably won't make much sense.
Yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense. We were just ripping on the KKK, making fun of them for being like, probably.
Oh yeah, have I told this story where one of the people that I played D&D with, her grandparents lived like in the same cul-de-sac as the current Grand Wizard of the KKK.
They even who's the current Grand? They have.
I don't remember his name. I mean, it's still an organization. It exists. It's just minuscule now. Grand Wizard.
Oh, and that's the even better. That's how you end that skit too. You end that skit by they were like, I think it's about time we saw each other's faces. They both take their things off. They're both black, and they're like, why? What are you? Like, well, I was infiltrating the KKK to find out what they're up to. And like, so was I.
They had a guy that did that. What that movie? He made that movie. What's his name? The black guy, Daryl, somebody.
He went
around trying to befriend KKK people.
Yeah.
Thomas Robb is his name. He actually is the.
I was just saying that.
Grand Wizard and Christian Identity Pastor.
Yeah.
Detroit, Michigan.
Yeah. The Christian identity, identitarian. That is just.
Is that considered an identity, like in intersectionality?
Well, I mean, it is an identity. It's a political ideology. It's dog whistles for like neo-Nazi. Kind of like how paleo-conservative was like a dog whistle for like, I'm a white nationalist. Christian identitarian, Christian identity or whatever is usually just a dog whistle for a Christian version of some sort of fascism.
This may not be funny to anybody else, but I have to say this before I go in the stream. Like me and my friend Kel, it was I guess more like in joke type thing. We used to joke all the time about like that around Texarkana, like we didn't really see any KKK members, but there was a lot of. But we both knew a lot of racist black people. Like well, what would the organization be called? We decided it was the JJJ. Yeah. Dynamite!
No, you don't have to be kidding. You did hear first. The KKK has naturally split dicks. Okay,
Wait,
all KKK members.
That's such a backstop.
Every single one of them. I know because I've slept with all of them, and then I stole their wallets.
I don't think that's something to brag about. You still slept with them, dude. Like, ugh.
Yeah, but I stole their wallets.
You could have stolen their wallets without sleeping with them.
I fucked them, so that's the thing. I'm the top. In that situation, I'm the top.
Still not. I don't know. It's kind of like the South Park joke for the cop. He has to go undercover in like the gay club or something like that. He comes out with all like the. They're like, you didn't have to actually have sex with those men. He's like, I had to gather as much evidence as possible.
Here's the evidence. Spits out a bunch. Spits. That's how you know it's a real cop, because they spit and don't swallow. That's how you know. Yes, Tupelo. It has
Well,
taken an odd
on
turn.
these notes, I can see where the
Yes.
conversation's going. I
Odd,
think
odd turns are usually.
It went there a long time ago, Jeff. It's been off the rails.
I was multitasking.
It's been off the rails, heading into the ravine for many.
Well, let's help it there and crash this one. Start fresh with a new one tomorrow. Let's send it to its rest.
We need like me, Lib. We need to do a separate podcast that all we do is just talk about this retarded shit like this. And yes, I use the R word. I don't
Y'all
care.
probably get higher ratings and more viewers than we are. Y'all probably grow faster than this.
It'll just be a nonstop barrage of just politically incorrect kind of like just talking about like.
Oh no, Zero! Did you drop a hot camera onto your boob?
What?
Wow. Wow. That is.
She's nursing a burn.
Breaking news.
Oh, she probably dropped like a.
Did you
ring
try to
light or
burn your
something.
bra and for you to take it off first?
Yeah. Oh, hot. Oh God, I hate hot grease. That is like my least favorite part of cooking bacon. Is all the grease that it makes. I mean, it's great for cooking, but then the grease gets all over me and then all over
We had a little microwave tray, a plastic tray you put in the microwave, and like the grease would all collect in this little groove at the bottom.
That
and
is.
just pour it up.
I mean, I know that some people.
But it wasn't as good as the fried bacon. Like it's
no, because you want to cook it in its own grease.
Yeah. I know some people might think it's like sexy, but there is a good reason to wear aprons though.
But, there really is. Yeah.
They do protect you from like grease burns and stuff. If you're cooking naked, then I don't know what to tell you, man. Like it's.
I mean, I usually do, but only when it's 3 a.m. and I'm high. So it's acceptable.
Sure. I mean, you're used to the extensive amount of bodily harm you probably. Infer from that. Yeah. So.
I do actually have a weirdly high pain tolerance. I learned after my car accident. It's like, which is I don't know, maybe concerning, maybe not. Maybe I'm just.
What? How is Liv ruining your evening? We haven't even done anything.
Yeah.
Oh, because I'm supposed to go watch Survivor. Okay, yeah, I do need to wrap up because I'm trying to find a Survivor episode before D&D for Frank. So
I'll talk to you soon, Liv. Right.
That's what he's about.
See y'all. Be well.
All right, good to see you. We'll be here. I might even do an evening stream. Who knows? We'll see how D&D goes. We'll see how tired I am of trolls by the time I'm through with that game. All right, Frank, cue it up. I'll be there in about 5, maybe 2. And take care, everyone, and see you whenever. Tomorrow for certain. We've got to let you. Yeah. Sometimes I need to do the autistic goodbye. Frank is here to keep me in line. Sometimes maybe he would make a good panel daddy. We'll see. All right. Take care. À demain, or possibly this evening. Ce soir. Pasta. Have a good Sunday.